An appeals court has thrown out the $500 million penalty that Donald Trump got from Letitia James and the, I think it was the New York 2nd District or whatever. Marco Rubio paused truck driver visas for basically the whole country, I believe. Donald Trump and the administration is reviewing 55 million visas for violations. I think that's going to end up in a lot of deportations. And he's also going on patrol tonight in D.C. I imagine that he is not going to be dressing up like Kristi Noem does, but we'll see what happens. But so before we get into all this stuff, why don't you guys head on over to castbrew.com and buy some coffee. You can get Josie's Signature Blend. You can get 2 Weeks Till Christmas, which is my holiday blend. You can also get Ian's Graphene Dream. You can get Appalachian Nights. You can get K-Cups if you don't like the regular coffee. It's all delicious. It's all wonderful. I drink it in the morning. I'm not kidding around. I'm not like just blowing smoke. Like it's legit the coffee that I drink. Then you want to head on over to timcast.com and join our Discord, all right? Become a member there so you can join the after show and call in. You call in, talk to our guests. You can call in and talk to the panel. You can meet other people in the Discord. There's something like 20,000 people in there. So go join the Discord, become a member. Maybe you'll find a girlfriend. There's been people that have gotten married, so it's worth the effort, all right? And then head on over to rumble.com, become a member there, so that way you can watch the after show. It's where we can talk about whatever we want. We don't have to worry about YouTube censorship or anything like that. So head on over, join Rumble, join the Timcast Discord. Joining us tonight to talk about this and all sorts of other things, Mike Crispi.
Let's go. Great to be back, guys. Great to be back on Timcast. My third time. Mike Crispi, TV host on Real America's Voice, Last Call, Saturday nights, and Trump delegate and surrogate, and president of the Italian American Civil Rights League. We love our Italians out there watching tonight. Let's go.
Awesome. And producer Frank is here as well.
Yes, sir. Producer for this guy. I'm usually behind the scenes, but sometimes I slip through the cracks. And here I am.
Let's go, Frankie.
Mary's here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Morgan, and you can usually find me on Pop Culture Crisis here at Timcast. And I guess because I usually am talking about celebrities, it's only fitting for me to mention that I've brought with me the Selena Gomez limited edition Oreos. Everyone in the studio has tried them except for Phil.
Yes.
But Mike, I heard you wanted to give a mini review for these cookies.
I give the cookies on their taste 9 out of 10, healthiness 1 out of 10, race trading, okay, 0 out of 10. Selena Gomez, half Italian, half Mexican, but you would never know about the Italian part. She plays up the Mexican thing,
right.
So she's a race trader, and therefore the cookies are unbuyable if you're out there. Okay?
What do you mean? She was in her mansion, like crying about her people.
Her people are Italian, and they would be very upset to know that she's making these cookies and not doing anything to honor our heritage.
I genuinely didn't know that. Yeah. Anyway,
Tate's here.
Yeah, Tate Brown holding it down. I'm glad there's a fellow crack slipper here. I mean, I'm a producer, and I get on this show somehow.
There we go.
So there's a lot of cracks being slipped. Yeah, I agree with the race trader cookies. That's wrong. There should be like some sort of cannoli essence in the cookies.
Yeah, she would be. She was honoring her heritage. She'd make cannolis.
Would you prefer if they were like pepperonis in them or something like that?
They're really good, though, for the record. The cinnamon flavor.
Nice.
They are nice.
They are.
All right. So smash the like button, share the show with all your friends, head on over to timcast.com, become a member. We're going to jump right into it. From Fox News, New York appeals court throws out $500 million penalty against Trump in Letitia James civil case. Let's see. An appellate court has thrown out the $500 million civil fraud penalty against President Donald Trump in the high-profile case brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James. The New York Appellate Division overturned the penalty, ruling the disgorgement was an excessive fine that violates the Eighth Amendment. The five-member panel all upheld findings that Trump and his company were liable, affirming that James acted within her authority and that injunctive relief to curb Trump organization practices was appropriate. The ruling leaves liability intact but eliminates the massive financial penalty of $364 million plus interest, which raises to about $500 million. Now, it's worth noting that this is a very complex finding. I think it was something like 300 pages. Let me see if I can find it. And there were multiple judges there were 5 judges altogether. Yeah, okay. So in a complex 323-page series of opinions on Thursday, the justices wrote that they were deeply divided, with 2 saying a new trial should be ordered and 1 writing that the case should be tossed altogether. A majority of 4 justices settled on an alternate path, vacating the massive financial penalty without resolving the merits of the case. The penalty, as one wrote, was far from reasonable approximation of the amount that was warranted. Justice David Friedman, who dissented from the majority, noted that 2 of the 4 justices who voted to vacate the penalty do not actually agree with the resolution of the appeal for which they are voting. I find it remarkable that, although the 3-justice majority of this 5-justice panel believe that the judgment in favor of the Attorney General should not stand, the result of the appeal is the affirmance of the judgment, albeit as modified to eliminate the disgorgement award, Friedman wrote. To draw a sports analogy, it's as if a team awarded a touchdown without crossing the goal line, he continued. This is something that I think is actually a result because of the fact that it's in New York, and I think there's a lot of politics involved in the finding. Do you guys have a similar opinion, or have you had a chance to look into this?
I think that Letitia James now needs to face the consequences. I mean, just because you try to do something really illegal and you fail doesn't mean you shouldn't pay the consequences. So Judge Engoron and Letitia James are now saying they're being politically targeted. Okay, they're saying they're being politically targeted because we're actually standing up for ourselves and responding to these things and talking about it. They need to go to jail. They need to do time. They need to be investigated, because everyone talks about the rules and the norms and the system of our country, but they're the ones who took the sledgehammer to it first and tried to break it into a million pieces. They failed. Trump still won. So I think this whole appeals court thing is good, but now we got to get some accountability, or otherwise Phil will just do it again. Like somebody else will do it.
And I'll just add to that. Can we get rid of the 12-foot statue of Letitia James out of New York City? We could start with that, because I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. That is a statue of her.
There's a statue of, for those who don't know, there's a statue of a big fat black woman that they put, they took our beautiful statues, like, the Columbus statues, and they put this random statue of like a fat black woman wearing sweats in Times Square. And nobody can explain why.
Wearing sweats is the best part.
Yeah, it's like nothing heroic, just like wearing sweatpants.
Serge has got
just a lady.
That's a Letitia James statue.
This is like Group 6 on a Delta Airlines flight. This is not heroic.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
So, I understand what you're saying. I do want to go. Donald Trump took to Truth Social to actually talk about this. He called it Trump took to Truth Social to declare a total victory and rail against James and the original trial judge, Arthur Engoron. James claimed to win too, noting that the appeals court upheld the findings of fraud and restrictions on Trump's businesses, and she pledged to appeal the penalty decision. Total victory in the fake New York State Attorney General Letitia James case, Trump wrote. I greatly respect the fact that the court had the courage to throw out this unlawful and disgraceful decision. They kind of didn't. That was hurting businesses all throughout New York. That was true. Others were afraid to do business there. The amount, including interest and penalties, was over $550 million. It was a political witch hunt in a business sense, the likes of which no one has ever seen. And that's true, too. You heard Mr. Wonderful, the guy from Shark Tank. I forget what his real name is. But
O'Leary.
Yeah, O'Leary. You heard him talking on CNBC. He was like, look, I don't want to do business here. If this can happen, if this can happen, if the attorney general can just decide that they want to attack a business person over politics, that's going to chill business. Now, granted, I think Donald Trump was a special case because of the fact that he was the president and because of the support that he got. But at the same time, I mean, I don't think that it's beyond it's beyond the Democrats' impulses to go after their political rivals using the DOJ of whatever jurisdiction they can.
I would say 100%. It's just like we've gotten to a point where it's so absurd where you have New York City, it is the beacon, all of the billion-dollar companies. No one is going to want to risk. It doesn't matter. It's like once that cracks open, it's like you don't put the genie back in the bottle. So it's just like it is such a bad look for New York. It has been horrible. I mean, me and you, we live. You're a little out there. You're in New Jersey, but I'm in New York. It's such a joke. Engoron, literally that whole that O'Keefe piece when he found him being a creep at the gym. That was literally two towns over from me.
That's right.
And a very expensive town at that. It's just like these people are pathetic.
No, they tried to destroy the whole system. They wanted to bankrupt Trump. They wanted to have $500 million ruling so they can get the headline to say he has no money. They wanted to bankrupt him, and they wanted to send him to jail simultaneously. They didn't think he would survive it, and he did, and here we are. So that doesn't mean that they're absolved. They got to pay.
It was so much better when corruption in New York was like masculine and cool.
Yeah.
Now it's like you got to be like libtard, gay.
That's right.
To participate. And it's like so unfair. And it's also very vague. Like you don't know how to participate in the corruption. It used to be very clear. It's like you pay this guy.
Yes.
You know, this, that you pay off a few cops, you pay off a lawyer. Now it's like you got to like take a lawyer, you got to take a judge
And the
to
system,
brunch.
and
like it's ridiculous.
And innocent people.
Mimosas, or you don't get
bottomless mimosas with the judge.
I never thought the day would come where you can grease someone's
it's
palms
so
in New
woke.
York with bottomless mimosas.
Yeah, it's these DEI bribery. It's terrible.
Yeah, crime used to be cooler, as you said, and like innocent people used to not get caught in it. It would be like, okay, it's like these people are fighting, or like these gangs, or like these organized criminals, and it was always like somewhat systematic. Now it's just like indiscriminate, and people are defecating on the sidewalk in between, and it's like it's not cool. It's not good.
Yeah.
I'd
Good
observation.
It'd be nice to have some classic corruption background.
Yeah.
Just some traditional, good old American corruption. Like this now, like you said, where there's homeless people everywhere. It's like, it's just crazy.
Well, so I mean, you talk about
point.
about people going to jail, but I mean, this isn't actually really put to bed yet. From CBS News, New York Attorney General Letitia James said in a statement Thursday that her office will appeal the decision to the Court of Appeals, the state's highest court. Her statement lauded one aspect of the ruling, which left in place sanctions barring Mr. Trump from serving as an officer or director of any corporation or other legal entity in the state for 3 years. His sons Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. were banned for 2 years. The court upheld the injunctive relief. We won, limiting Donald Trump and the Trump Organization officers' ability to do business in New York. It should not be lost to history. Yet another court has ruled that the president violated the law, and that our case has merit. James said. The idea that it just has merit, like the parties involved when they were actually being questioned on the stand, they all said that they were happy with the transaction. They made money. Everybody made money. They were all considered, sophisticated and all understood the terms when they went into this. And this was something that Letitia James brought. And this is something that she actually ran on. She ran to get her job as the Attorney General. She said that she was going to go and find the crimes that Donald Trump committed.
Yes.
Now, I know that there are some people out there that think that that's what the government should be doing, trying to find crimes that people have done. But there's no reason to go after someone other than go after Donald Trump other than political motivation.
Her number one quote ever, Letitia James, is she said, in the system where everyone is too male, too pale, and too stale. That's a Letitia James quote. So I think now in the wake of this, it needs to be too woman, too dark, and too zesty. Because it's the only we just got to go totally the opposite way. And Letitia James is in a lot of trouble, and I think that she's going to pay, not even for this, but she is now under investigation by the DOJ for mortgage fraud.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny, Trump got the loan, and Deutsche Bank said, as you said, Phil, Deutsche Bank said he was fine. He paid it back with interest, no problem. Letitia James committed hardcore mortgage fraud where she misrepresented where she lived and all these other things to get a loan term that she had no business getting whatsoever. She's literally guilty more blatantly than what they were trying to get Trump on, and it's similar. So I think that they're going to get her, and Ed Martin's going to get her, and I think Letitia James will end up going to jail over her own mortgage situation. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, and she was committing. It was in Maryland. Like that's what you're going to go to bat for. That's what you're going to risk going to jail over. That's a downgrade from what are we doing? At least risk it do Nashville or something. Nice.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Her development was in where in Maryland was it? Do you know?
It doesn't matter.
There's really no
Maryland.
nice areas in Maryland, so that was her.
That's not true.
What? I've just attacked the whole state of Maryland.
It's fine.
It's a small state, right?
Ellen's away from us, so we'll be
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, no, it's just crazy. She can't even commit mortgage fraud properly.
Yeah.
How do you expect her to
She's not
prosecute
even a good mortgage
fraud?
fraudster.
Yeah. How can you even prosecute if you can't even do it properly?
Yeah,
You know
her
what I mean?
investment property wasn't in Hawaii or Palm Beach.
Right.
It's in Maryland.
I know. Get real. And they're gonna get Schiff on the same thing.
Just gonna
hopefully.
say, he's
so
coming up next.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Schiff and Letitia James see significant, legal troubles because of it. I don't actually have a sense that there's going to be anything that will come from both of those.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean, look,
Oh, do you think nothing ever happens?
I didn't
Is that
say
called
nothing.
the black pill? Is that a black?
I
Nothing
didn't
ever.
say nothing.
Nothing
no,
ever happens.
there are a few people around here that think nothing ever happens or nothing ever changes are the two kind of things that are thrown about.
Nothing
most.
ever happens is shorthand for nothing ever changes.
Yeah,
When
it's like the internet slang, right? That's what on X they said nothing. The nothing ever happens crowd.
I would say, as far as the comparison between Letitia and Schiff, it's like, with all the issues we do have with Letitia, it's like she did, as we did say, she ran on it. She's like, I'm going to go after him. That's what you're going to vote me in for. On the other side, we have Schiff, who was voted in to, take care of the welfare, and
he was
they
a
just
senator.
decided, in the Senate to help out his constituents. Instead, he took all of the time to literally lie about Russia and basically, if you want to argue, possibly commit treason, basically, and just have our entire country divided for 4 years.
He accused Trump of committing treason in the first term, which totally derailed everything that led to the impeachment thing. Yep. So he literally got on television and said the president is committing treason. I've seen the evidence. There was no evidence. Trump was including with the Russians. It was laughable. Schiff should face consequences for that. The punishment for treason is death. Schiff accused the president of committing treason, trying to throw the country into chaos. So the question is, what should his punishment be?
Yeah.
Should it be something similar? I don't know.
I mean, look, when it comes to what should happen because of those accusations and stuff, I think that's a totally separate issue from, mortgage fraud or whatever. And I think that the idea that mortgage fraud would be a good replacement punishment for what he's actually done when it comes to the accusations that he was making. I think the only problem is most of the time when he was making those accusations, he was on the floor of Congress, right? When he actually
he said it on television though. He said it on CNN. Like there's like the montage of him saying it, like, I have seen the evidence. I have seen it. He did say it in Congress, when that, they say that protects you if you're in Congress, but he said it on television many times. And I don't think we've ever had a politician who has breached that boundary. It's like, I don't like Democrats, but I don't accuse them of treason. Like, you don't just accuse somebody of treason. So I think that just crossed a barrier. So what happens for crossing that barrier? We don't know because no one's ever done it.
Yeah, well, there's also like a big, because, there's these, let's arrest Obama or Hillary, and you see that and you're like, okay, that's clearly red meat for the base, but that's probably not going to happen. But with this, where it's like there's obvious smoking gun, like it's obvious they did these things, the DOJ is currently investigating. It really does feel like, okay, yeah, we actually will get this across the line.
We're talking in circles. Like, I feel like so much air is wasted on, shows like this talking about what should happen, and then nothing happens. And that includes the Obama red herring that Trump threw out there, which was right in the middle of the Epstein scandal. It was just a total distraction that he threw out to the media. And none of these people are going to face consequences for anything.
Ever?
The people that we're talking about now, no.
Nothing
no.
ever. Well, I mean, I think that,
it's just funny to me that the whole campaign was marketed basically on like retribution, and that was
you're right. I want to see some more
ploy.
retribution. I want to see some people get locked up. I will say, as a big Trump
It's not
guy,
gonna happen.
I need to see some high profile, overdue lockups.
Too bad.
There
not
is,
gonna happen.
there is. I would say, yeah.
Never gonna happen, crowd.
I mean, there is a difference between, like you said, kind of throwing Obama out in the middle of like a hot moment versus the DOJ coming out and listing specific infractions that James and Schiff have made that they are currently investigating. Like, I mean, I agree. I need to see it to believe it, but there is a ramp up here in like what mechanism they'll deploy to actually bring these people in a courthouse.
I think that's a great point, and I think that the idea that we should just it should be haphazard is a bad idea, and I think that I don't want to try to predict the future because I'm not usually all that good at predicting the future, to be honest with you. But when it comes to if they're going to do anything like make any arrests or whatever, their ducks have to be in a row. They have to have everything all together. And I don't think that it happens just as quickly as, we got into office in January and by May or June, we're ready to go.
That's a fair point.
And so I want to see people arrested for the crimes that were fairly obviously committed. I think that, like you said, if Schiff was saying stuff when he was on TV as opposed to on the floor of Congress, then like that kind of stuff he can actually face prosecution for. But if they don't have all their ducks in a row and they don't have the proper charges and everything, then you're not going to see anything happen from it, and then it would be even worse than not doing anything, I think. And to the point of what's going to be done, the Democrats have shown that they will do all this stuff, and this is a point that we actually harp on a lot around here. Democrats have shown that they will send the FBI to the former president's house and and not arrest him, but search him and stuff. And that when they brought him in, they actually had him come in to New York of his own volition. So they didn't actually have to, perp walk him or anything. But there were a lot of Democrats that wanted that. There were a lot of Democrats that were verbally saying, like openly saying, I want to see Trump perp walk, et cetera. So it's not a good idea for Republicans to just let things go. They should actually make arrests if they have the material, the substance there.
Yeah, and they wanted to perp walk Trump, but they wanted to perp walk Trump for the only reason of let's just go perp walk Trump. And these people don't care about the Constitution or the framework of the country or what it was built on or what we're preserving, or they don't care about any of that stuff. They just want to perp walk Trump. So at least when we say it, we understand the weight of doing that, right? Because we value everything this country is built on. We don't go after political opponents. But if they do it first and they do it under the wrong, pretense, something's got to give.
And there's also a difference too, like the Democrats prosecuting Trump. The entire intel community is down with that. Like they're ready to rock. You just have to give them permission. They're like a bunch of rabid dogs ready to do it. With the Republicans, it'd be like pulling teeth. Because even though, yes, Gabbard and co are shaking up the intel community, you're seeing a lot of security clearances revoked, a lot of people Gabbard laid off like half of the DNI recently. Even with that, still it's very entrenched. There's still a lot of deep state bureaucrats. It's going to be very hard to get the government moving in the direction of starting to prosecute some of these slime balls. It's just the nature of how the deep state is constructed. And it will take, probably a year or two to really clean house, to give it a good scrub and get our people in there so you can really start activating and utilizing the weapons that we do have.
Yeah.
Legal weapons.
I think that's something that we can all around the table here agree on. So we're going to jump to this story here, and this is actually some good news, in my opinion. From Bloomberg, U.S. to pause issuing worker visas for truck drivers, Rubio says. The U.S. will pause issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers, the latest in a series of Trump administration moves to clamp down on foreign workers, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Thursday. Effective immediately, we are pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers, he wrote. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor-trailer trucks on U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. The Secretary of State's post didn't include statistics nor specific examples detailing the nature of the threats. However, the move comes days after a deadly August 12th crash on the Florida Turnpike by a driver that was accused of making an illegal U-turn. The Department of Homeland Security said that the driver of the rig was a migrant from India in the country illegally. The Trump administration has repeatedly sought to tighten immigration rules for commercial vehicle drivers. In May, the Department of Transportation said it would up enforcement of an English language requirement for drivers following an April executive order from Donald Trump. These things seem so obvious, and it blows my mind that there are so many people that just don't jump right on and say, yes, obviously this is something
This guy was illegal from India?
From India.
Okay, and we're surprised that these people can't drive. They don't have traffic laws. Look at any video.
Point.
Look at Anthony Bourdain visiting India. Look at the B-roll footage that they take of the streets in India. They don't have traffic laws.
They bring their, I hate to say it, but they bring their third world, shithole country.
Why would you hate to say that?
So
I love to say that. That's true.
Well, it's like I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's happening in every major city, and unfortunately, it's the reality. So when the Somalians come in to Minnesota, they turn Minnesota into little Somalia. Okay, they even changed the flag.
Yeah.
When the people come into Texas and the southern states from every single Central South American country that they're looking to escape, when they get here, they just turn it into that country. And then the Indians, they don't have any traffic laws. So what do to our roads? They turn them into Indian roads. And that's not a racist thing. That's not a profiling thing. It's just reality. And the reason I hate to say it is because now we have to live with it. And they're all here. How do you undo it all? Trump's going to have to round them up and deport all of them back. Every single one of them.
It's like, and they can barely drive the tuk-tuks around in India. They're smashing. It's like a demolition derby, and they're trying to wheel an 18-wheeler around. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I have noticed that the truck drivers are some of the worst drivers.
Yeah, they're getting worse.
Me and Mike are driving from New Jersey to here, and it was like, what is going on? And we're driving past, everyone was like, no, definitely not American. No, definitely not.
Yeah,
American.
we were like,
what is going on here? It's like
Yeah.
when two tractor trailers are going on a highway at the same speed in 2 lanes, not allowing any cars to go around you, I think there's a problem.
Yeah, go to Love's like anywhere along I-81. It looks like a FEMA camp. It's crazy.
there are no white truck drivers.
No.
Snow white truck drivers.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, they're DEIing everything.
And in these states, like in California, Gavin Newsom said he was gonna something about him with the truck drivers, like laxing the laws. So they become a truck driver in California, but they're going all over the state. So it's the way that Gavin Newsom or anybody in a liberal state can just fuck it up for the whole country because then they just go everywhere and cause accidents.
Yeah, this falls right on Gavin Newsom and on California and Gavin Newsom's policies, right? This guy got into the country in California. He got his CDL from California.
Yeah.
And so in my opinion, the people that have died because of this, it's directly like falls right on Gavin Newsom's shoulders.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. Like, how does a CDL work with state by state? You know, does it differ by state? You know, is it harder to be
Process,
Yeah, and I think that there is some amount of standardization when it comes to the test. But if I understand correctly, people in California, if you're a foreigner, if you don't speak English, they will actually provide someone to help you. That was one of the super chats we got.
I got messages.
yesterday.
I got text messages coming into the show right now from law enforcement, literally watching the show that I know who are seeing me on Timcast right now, and they're saying I pull over people who don't understand the road signs.
Yeah.
It's like when they get pulled over, the thing is, you say, "Oh, what were you doing?" You're texting, or you're having a couple to drink, or the typical American things, right? Now they go, I don't even know what the sign said.
Right. It's not that they're like
so bad.
They're not like crazy. Like they don't want to hurt anybody.
You know the
but
signs.
They come from a culture that doesn't care about order.
Right.
Yes.
They don't like really register that in their minds, and they never will.
It's now, like with Mad Max Curry Road and all our roads. When's the last time you heard a woman driver joke? I mean, women are off the hook now because there's these people everywhere taking YouTube.
That's the worst thing about it.
They have become middle of the road, the women drivers.
Yeah,
the
they're just
Asian
normal.
drivers aren't even at the
They're
bottom
good
of the
now.
totem pole
Yeah, they're
anymore.
like, I'll take one.
Yeah.
Why not?
Now we have the Indians, the Middle Eastern drivers, the Somalian pirates. Okay.
They're doing like burnouts.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I'll just say, when you look back, when you zoom out and you just see this whole thing happen, really what's going to happen is the real truck drivers, the American truck drivers, are going to be affected because there's going to be a time with all these, the EVs happening. There's going to be that time when. Look at these stats. Look how many people die from trucks. They have to all be automated. And now our biggest economy, it's all going to go away.
Yeah, no more truck drivers.
That's coming no matter.
No more
what.
lot lizards. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Lot lizards.
Yeah, look, I've spent a lot of
can't
time.
automate those.
I've spent a lot of time touring. The lot lizards are not something that you want. You want that to stop. You want that to end. You
conviction behind
You
it.
want to put an end to that. I promise you.
Okay, well, that's good then. That's maybe it's a
But
good.
no, to your point, the driverless truckers, that's coming regardless. It doesn't matter. I mean, that is going to be something in the future. I imagine within 20 years, there will be some congressperson that submits a bill that says we need to outlaw human beings driving trucks.
Under the pretense of what he's saying is that it's these people who shouldn't even be in the country in the first place, who don't know how to drive in the first place, and then they use that as the pretense to get these driverless trucks and destroy an industry that should remain for American white workers.
And the craziest thing is California, Gavin Newsom will be the first person to blame a red state whenever there's a shooting and be like, oh, well, their gun laws are the reason that this happened.
Yeah.
And then they're issuing
Great point.
CDLs like it's like a library card.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
That's a really good point. Excuse me. The whole like speaking English, to your point earlier about like not being able to read the signs and stuff like that. That's a point that we made on the show, 6 months ago, and it actually happened to be like right before Trump said that they was making an executive order. It's like one of the things that I think would be really important is to do all that we can to make sure that the federal government doesn't produce any paperwork or any kind of form in any other language other than English. And if you can't fill out the form yourself, not with an aid provided by the federal government, but if you can't fill out the form yourself, well, that means that you can't get whatever job or assistance it is that you're trying to get.
And the
Companies like Uber need to be fined for allowing illegals to drive Americans because I recently I already knew that was a widespread issue, and oftentimes like they have a citizen make an account and then their whole like family of illegals is using it. And I had an Uber driver recently who I was directing when I showed up at the location. And I was like, can you turn left over there? And he literally didn't know the words right and left.
So bad.
He was like, I was like, do you speak English? He was like, no, mommy.
Good Lord.
Told you why he was hitting on you?
He didn't know right and left. So yeah, people are gonna die because of this.
Already have.
Also, there was
already have.
time to prevent this. There was time to prevent the automation of these jobs. I remember several years ago, like many years before this was really a popular conversation, I think Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro were having a discussion about the automation of truck driving jobs. And Tucker was basically on the side of like, we need to regulate before these jobs get replaced.
Yeah.
And then Ben Shapiro basically said, well, that's just capitalism, baby. That's creative destruction. We just have to
He
accept
supported it. What a surprise.
Well, which is a better option though? Having a bunch of immigrants that can't speak English and can't read the road signs, or having trucks that actually can follow the road signs, which is better. I mean, it's clearly better to have automation as opposed to.
It's not really. That's a false dichotomy. We can get rid of them. I thought everyone was talking about how we can just do things and like we're not doing anything.
I mean,
we're not getting rid of these
we
people.
are going to have this crunch as the population declines. Like there is a shortage of truckers. There has been a shortage of truckers for a long time. And then as time goes on, we're going to have massive shortages in these industries. And from the government's perspective, they need, just for tax recuperation purposes, it's like, okay, we have two options really, is automation, and that can hopefully increase wages for the jobs that are still out there, or you flood the country with the third world. And the third world.
People are net cost on the welfare system, though.
I agree, but they're never going to learn. The government's never going to learn their lesson. When it comes
Regardless of,
the entire West has voted year after year. Every Western country you go, they vote for less immigration, and it never happens.
regardless of what option or what other option you get, I will take automation over flooding the country with third world immigrants every single time, without a question.
I would take that, but in the ideal world, we would get something happening, and that would be in the next 3 years. We absolutely just round up every single person, and everyone always says, "Oh, but
no,
we want to get the criminals out." But a lot of these people, they're not criminals.
I have a better idea.
Be here working.
I have a better idea than rounding people up.
To penalize the company.
Yeah, make it illegal to rent to people that are and if you own a company and you hire illegals, you lose your company.
You're absolutely right.
And that's something that
would dry up, and they would leave immediately.
Democrats say all the time, why don't we ever go after the companies? And they're right.
Yes,
they're
right.
absolutely right.
Way.
We should absolutely, and I've been
Bingo.
saying this on the show for a while. Go after the person that owns this company, that hired this truck driver. He should lose his company. All of his trucks should be auctioned off to his competitors.
He should bear the consequence.
He should go to jail
for the absolute carnage.
Yeah,
that happened.
even worse than jail, he should be sent to India just for like a day.
But fine
for one day.
Yeah, I'd be like, solitary, please. Gee.
But no, because the thing is, like, you talk about rounding people up, and if you have people having to deal with, if you have Karen watching ICE rounding up Miguel, she's going to freak out, right? She's going to say, "Oh, you're doing these terrible things." So the real compassionate option is make it so incredibly hard for illegal immigrants that are here to stay here. Make sure they can't find a job. Make sure they can't find a place to live. If you make it incredibly hard for them to live here, then they will leave. And that's the best option. So you don't have to have ICE fighting with people. You don't have to have videos of ICE rounding people up, put up on the internet, and then people go after the ICE agents and stuff. That, like, it's just the smartest and most clean way to do it. What are you thinking?
Great idea is penalizing the companies. I agree with that, but it's not mutually exclusive with what the Trump voters were promised. And what was it, $150 billion given to ICE in the bill?
Yes.
For what? To move these people, to take them and move them out of the country.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have people rounded up. What I'm saying is that if you actually want to get rid of, all of the people, the 10, 20 million,
in a way that will last longer than just his current term. Yes.
Yeah, that will. If you pass legislation that says if you hire illegals or you rent a place to live to an illegal, you risk losing your property.
I'm just saying it's not mutually exclusive, and the time to deport people is way before the midterms, which is why I was so frustrated with people saying, like, it's only been 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It's only been this long. Like, you have to start immediately.
Every day
Because
And for the record,
basically, as soon as the calendar year ends, the only thing
So
anybody's
true.
going to be thinking about is the midterms.
And
then
everyone gets like
we
chicken.
can't deport
Yeah.
anyone, but we're already not deporting anyone.
I actually, for the record, you talk about the ICE videos. I kind of like those videos, where they're all screaming and they're going
Yeah.
And it's
crazy.
like, this is another
we
one
voted for. I voted for
like,
that.
Trump cares way too much. He pays way
Yeah.
too much attention to the media.
I mean, look,
What is he so afraid of?
I understand.
videos are
I understand what you're saying, but you're not
He's not
thinking about
crying.
the perspective of people that are in Washington and how the actual process is done, right? Like
Well,
I
okay.
know I would.
You're like, well,
it
the
would be great.
compassionate option so that the Karens don't see these videos that make them cry is for us to do this. Well, yeah, the more compassionate option is having compassion toward the American people.
Oh,
I mean,
That's
well, it's like it.
look, the American people are going to
they've been
vote
aggrieved.
for the American people don't like to see that. That's why I'm saying to not have those videos go up, because that will make people that are a little on the queasy side when they see people get wrapped up, that will make them change their opinion. And you don't want them to change their opinion. You want to get the people out. The most important thing is getting the illegals to leave. And the best way to make sure that you can get the illegals to leave is to not have those videos up, because then you'll have people say, "Ooh, I don't want to see that. I'll go vote for the Democrat because that hurt my feelings." You don't want that. Like that's the reason why you don't want those videos going up. And whether or not, like, I know that you don't have that same kind of queasiness, and people around here don't have that same kind of queasiness, but there are a lot of people that do, and they're swing voters. So if they're swing voters and they're the ones that are queasy, you need to make sure that they don't lose the stomach for this. And the best way to do that is to not have videos of ICE agents wrapping people up.
To his point, they could have avoided the high school graduations. That was not the best look.
I mean, it's true.
There's something to be said about flooding the zone, though, where it's like you just go crazy, like just really go like mask off the first few months, like go to the high schools, like just throw like random kids in vans and stuff. Because it's like then by the time the midterms, seriously, no, hear me out.
Yeah, the cycle changes. That's your
Because by the time the midterms come, like Rogan's already thrown his fit and everything, and then it's like then we're good. Like everyone's at ease. Everyone's like, okay,
and everyone always says when they see
I'm
that
being-
video,
yeah.
they always say, "Well, I really want the deportations, but start with the criminals." And they say, "Okay, start." So you're right. Yeah. So you know what? Yeah. Well, in the first 2 months, 3 months,
It's flooding the zone.
they should have flooded the zone.
Yes.
Beat the shit out of everybody. Deported them out as viciously as possible. And the attention span of these Karens are so short that they would forget all about that and be mad about whatever, the Democrats talk about abortion rights.
And I think they're doing that to some degree, because it's like there was this video yesterday of some guy in D.C. getting dragged out of his car, and like the libs freaked out for like a few hours, and then of course it came out he was a pedophile. Obviously, that just happens all the time.
It's like
but it's like
Kilmar.
I'm seeing the Yeah, you're not seeing as many Kilmars now. You're not seeing as strong of a reaction for the left. I think there's an aspect where they're demoralized, like that's 100% true. But I think there also is an aspect where the average American, like the people like Joe Rogan's, the guys that came out early and were really upset about the deportations, they're kind of like whatever, they're used to it now. Their stomachs have adjusted, because like the reality is Americans are very vibes based people. Like, okay, yes, polling wise Americans want mass deportations, but also Americans don't want to watch videos like Phil's saying of people getting thrown around. And so it's like the only way to really do it is rip the Band-Aid, flood the zone. I think that is actually what's happened. I think we're past the Kilmars. I don't think we're gonna get many of those stories anymore.
I don't think that any of us around the table are arguing about what needs to be done or what should happen. It's just a matter of how it's going to be done and the velocity, apparently, of how fast it's going to happen. And to be honest with you, look, I don't know exactly the details about how funding works. The argument that you heard from Capitol Hill was that the big beautiful bill needed to be passed because the funding was in it. They didn't have the money to pay ICE to do this stuff. And if that's the case, then nothing could be done before that was passed. And
when did the big beautiful bill pass?
3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, a month ago.
I mean,
4th.
It was July 4th.
July 4th.
You got through July 4th. So
Okay,
it's
so
been over.
6
It's
weeks.
been over a
6
month.
weeks ago.
They got $150 billion now, so it should be.
Well, we are seeing. I mean, they're opening up massive complexes every week now. I mean, we've seen there's 2 in Florida now. Nebraska, they're building a massive one in Indiana. So the bed space is increasing. They're ramping up. Like the deportations are finally starting to head north again.
Why do they need beds? Like, just take them and put them on a plane.
You do have the process to. I mean, I hate it. I wish you could just build a slingshot and launch them. But like, you do have to process them. You got to figure out who they are, what their names are, like where they're from. and that requires bed space to detain them for a temporary amount of time. And then also now you see a proposal, like there was a story, I think it was on NBC News today, where Kirsty Noem is exploring just buying planes outright, because contracting these planes, chartering these planes is very expensive. And it's like, if we just had our own fleet, we could be, launching these out every day.
It's great.
It makes you.
You could sell her watch and she could buy it.
If she buys the planes, you know that she's going to be wearing a captain's outfit when she buys them.
I love that.
Whatever she needs to do.
And holding a rifle.
We're going to jump to this story because it's basically the same topic here. From the AP, Trump administration is reviewing all 55 million foreigners with U.S. visas for any violations. Washington. The Trump administration said Thursday it is reviewing more than 55 million people who have valid U.S. visas for any violations that could lead to the deportation, part of a growing crackdown on foreigners who are permitted to be in the United States. In a written answer to the question from the Associated Press, the State Department said all U.S. visa holders, which can include tourists from many countries, are subject to continuous vetting with an eye towards any indication they could be ineligible for permission to enter or stay in the United States. Should such information be found, the visa will be revoked, and if the visa holder is in the United States, he or she would be subject to deportation. The U.S. will also stop issuing worker visas for commercial truck drivers. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Thursday on X, he said the change was effective immediately. So the fact that there are 55 million visa
I didn't
holders
even know it was that many. Like,
awful.
it should be 5,000.
It is.
We all found
awful.
out this afternoon. It was did you see the timeline this afternoon when this story dropped? And everyone's like, 55 million.
So think about this: 55 million foreigners with visas, right? And then an additional 20 million that are here illegally in the past 4 years. So it's 75 million people. There's only 335
So we're almost at
million
a
people.
third of the country.
Yeah, 335 million people. And also, this is what this is how they figure out apportionment for Congress. This is they will count all of those people. I'd be willing to bet anything that they're counting visa holders. Maybe they don't count people that are here on a tourist visa, right? But if you're here on any kind of green card or anything like that, you get counted for the census. These people are not Americans, and and to say that they only dilute the voting power a little bit, that is a ridiculous assertion now, because there's 75 million of them.
And the Democrats will say it outright that they want these people to count in the census.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. That's why they stack them up. Everyone's like, I thought the Democrats, they love the inner city blacks the most. But what do? Where do they put the illegals when they come into the country? They build beds for them in the gymnasiums in like inner city Brooklyn, and they say, all right, they're all going to stay there. So you'd say, all right, why are the Democrat politicians pissing off their voting base by putting these illegals like in the gymnasiums of the schools where their voters send their kids? And it's because they just want to juice up those census numbers. They want to juice up those census numbers. And when you do that, it also impacts the census, and that impacts the congressional districts and how many districts you have. And these Democrat politicians would rather have smaller, concentrated liberal districts and more districts of that, because for them, it's about their votes in Washington. It's not about serving constituents or anything like that. So I think the Electoral College, the Electoral College also has a weight based on population
just
as well.
reps plus senators.
Yeah, reps. Yeah. So the Electoral College has a weight on that. So they want to tilt it, and that's why they fight for it. That's why they don't care about their own voters when they throw in the illegals into those inner cities. That's what I think about it.
I mean, the whole point is to affect the makeup of Congress, and that is to dilute the voting power and political power of the existing Americans, the American people that are born here, the people that are citizens, the people that have the right to be here, and that have the right to say, we object to this. We don't want you to do this. And that's a big part of why Donald Trump was elected, because the American people don't want this. They understand. Even if they didn't understand the technical way that they were doing it, the actual method that was being used to dilute their power, they understood that it was happening, and they have for a long time. And I think that's why you had such a turnout for Donald Trump. This is an absolute travesty, and I think that the Trump administration shouldn't just review people that have any violations. Like if they have even the smallest violation, if they have a traffic ticket, you go, because this is a problem for the voting population of the American people. It's not just, these, if they're good, that's okay. No, these people are getting counted in the census, and they affect Congress. So these people need to go.
Well, not just that, like they just change America.
Yeah.
Like we didn't vote on this. We want America to be American. We want it to be culturally American. And they do this thing, like even Republicans, they'll concede that it's bad on political grounds. They're like, okay, yes, this is okay, they'll outvote you. But it's like, I think it's perfectly valid as an American and as an American that has family here going back hundreds of years to be a little concerned that there's 75 million foreigners here. It's like, I didn't vote for this. None of us did. So it's like, and I'm tired of being gaslit. Like it's a totally irrelevant conversation to have of like the cultural makeup of my country being changed.
It also is the no matter what you do, it'll never change because Republicans made this happen. I mean,
Right.
and Democrats, but Republicans too, because this system was built over the last 40 years by Republicans and Democrats. So, no matter who you elect, no matter what they say, oh, vote for me or do this, they say it might never change.
And it's the problem for me is imagine going to another country and like protesting about anything in another country. So something like this where they're reviewing all of this, I'm sick of seeing protesters who aren't from this country. Like, what are you doing? This is insane. So this will help that, I think, a little bit.
Well, it's I mean, because people come here and they impose their will on the United States. I mean, there's a huge difference between like the initial settlers that came to this country, or even the waves of immigrants, leading up to the Ellis Island wave. Post Ellis Island, post the World Wars, the stock of immigrants coming are completely different. They're coming here without the intention of assimilating. They're coming here with the intention of changing the country. And in all fairness, the people that are letting them come into the country give them that command. They're saying, "You enrich us. Like your culture's enriching. We want your culture here." And you're just sitting here like, "Well, what's wrong with American culture? Why?
Yeah.
What are we losing by not having a bunch of people from India and Mexico and the Philippines here?" It's like, no, we're actually a pretty great country. And they're doing the same thing to the Europeans on steroids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're just actively telling people in England, like, actually, there's no such thing as an ethnic Englishman. Like, anyone can be English.
They're like the testing grounds Europe for us.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, the stuff that's going on in the UK is pretty objectionable to most anybody, and you see it in the way the English people are actually responding. They're starting to put up actually English flags, and for a long time in my life, I remember hearing from my friends from Europe and stuff. They were like, "Don't you guys think it's a little silly how many American flags you have put up? Don't you think it's a little silly?" And they thought it was a little on the crass side. And I was like, "Nah, man, I've got a 13 colonies flag from here to here. It's like
Just because you lost the war.
yeah, But now I think that there are a lot of people in Europe that are starting to see the value of believing in their nation, believing in their country.
The immigration situation in the UK is dissimilar to ours in that it's more starkly a cultural difference because the immigrants are largely Muslim. The cultural differences are far more noticeable. You could say that Mexican culture and American culture are less dissimilar than Muslim countries and the UK. It is a racial issue more so in the US, and the mandate has been extremely clear from 2016. I believe 9 out of 10 people who voted for Trump in 2016 are white people. Mm-hmm. And the message was very clear. Maybe they don't understand the intricacies of how businesses influence the issue, but they're tired of interacting with them. They're tired of interacting with foreigners on a daily basis. They're ornery and rude and inconsiderate.
Yeah, I thought these were like people who were fleeing oppression and seeking asylum, but they come in and act like they own the place and shit all over the street.
That speaks to the difference in culture, though. There are like the way what is considered polite here is just not considered polite in different cultures, and
I do believe it's because they're interacting with Americans.
Yeah,
they behave this
Oh,
way.
they definitely
in
they
nature.
look down upon them.
They size you up. And like she's saying, I mean, they brought 50 white South Africans in. And I mean, you would have thought we imported the entirety of the Taliban. Like the way that the leftist media reacted just made it so obvious that it's actually there is a racial component, and they made it very obvious. They played their hand when that happened because for the longest time they were denying it. They were saying no, they're just looking for a better life. And when that came out, like, oh, and actually we just hate white people, and we would really like to just breed you out of existence. That's what happened.
And I think symbolism matters. And if you go to Europe, I was there last summer, and all of the flags are European Union flags. So none of the flags have their own identity anymore. Anywhere you go in Europe, they're flying the European Union flag where the flag of their country should be. And I said, why would you fly the flag of this organization that you created? So it's kind of weird. It's almost like they're taking the identity and just trying to wipe it clean, make it one thing. And, that's the globalists right there.
Back to the point of what's going on in the UK. In the UK, they're actually painting potholes with the English flag, the Red Cross, and on a white flag. They're painting that in the bottom of potholes in order to get the the magistrate to come and actually fill the potholes and fix the roads.
It's-
And apparently it's working fairly well. But you do see a lot of people have actually started to fly the English flag, and I think that people are actually getting in trouble for it too. There's a pushback from the government itself
Dare
saying,
you vandalize this precious pothole.
well, I don't think that it's about the potholes, but more when they're actually flying regular flags. But they're like, you should take that down because it's culturally insensitive. And the idea that you wouldn't be able to fly your own country's flag in your own country because it might insult someone that is in your country, living off your country's largesse, living off your benefits and stuff that's ridiculous to me. But in the UK, that's honestly that's the norm. That's the way that it is.
And you could just not leave your house and just tweet something and then get sentenced to 2 years in jail.
The guy, wasn't there a guy and he got sent? What country? Was it in the UK where he said, I don't want my kids getting raped by these, whatever people.
The grooming gangs.
And they gave him, where was that?
Yeah, the grooming gangs in the UK.
And he got sentenced to 20 months in jail.
something like
Oh, it
that.
happens all the time. Oh, and
They put like 3,000 people a year in jail now for Facebook posts.
It's crazy. And what you're saying, it's actually kind of there actually is some truth to what the government is saying over there, which is, yes, flying the St. George's flag, the English flag, that actually is hostile towards what is currently the ideology of the United Kingdom's government. It does actually stand. It's like identifying with your English heritage and culture is a rebellion against the current status.
Actually, that's great. To this point, put that up, Serge. This is great. You look, these guys are wearing masks in order to fly the flag of England. That is that is absurd.
Because it is. If you're the government, this is horrifying. Seeing people actually identify and be proud of who they are. That's terrifying if you're a bureaucrat.
But actually, like let's go back and start it from the beginning and look at all, like, you see all these people that are starting to fly flags. And this, again, I've been to the UK, I think like 13 or 14 times in my life, and I've never seen anyone flying the English flag. I would once in a while. Once in a while, I'd see the Union Jack, but I would never see the English flag. And there was a time where this just didn't happen. And again, this was not that long ago. The last time I was in the UK was 2019. Right before COVID happened, and you wouldn't see this. But this is actually it's actually something that's very positive for the country. They're actually standing up for themselves. But it does kind of shock me that you have to wear a mask in order to fly your own country's flag.
It's a failed society. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, if they can't succeed there, I mean, the UK does always feel like to some degree they're 10 years ahead of the United States in a lot of ways. I mean, like Brexit was a really good indicator of how the Trump election was going to go. So it's like a lot of people see this in the audience, they kind of roll their eyes and say, well, that's England, or they say, oh, well, that's Canada, or that's Australia, like these things. It is true, there is a big difference. The United States is obviously a vastly different culture, even though we are in the Anglosphere. But it is worth keeping an eye on because those trends do affect us to some degree, and we are struggling with the same issue. I mean, Mary noted, okay, the immigration to the UK is culturally far different. I mean, it's like Pakistani stuff. We're getting mostly like Latin American, or historically speaking. But it still is fundamentally the same issue, and the issue, now the question people are asking, Charlie Kirk is asking this, he's saying, what is an American? That's a question that has to be answered. And same thing in England. They have to ask, what is it? What is
yeah,
Englishmen?
and I think people are articulating that simply acquiring a legal citizenship in the U.S. does not make you an American.
Paperwork Americans, that's what they call them.
It does, yeah.
So I mean, like, look, I think that the United States is different different from England, from the UK, from Wales. I do think that, like, the United States doesn't have the same kind of history that the UK does, or like England does. England has it's 1,000 years old, right? Like it's got deep history, and there are English people that are English. There aren't the way that Americans are Americans. They're American. They're born here, but it's not that there is a racial component to it. You can say that there is a history that Americans share, and that paperwork Americans aren't real Americans. But if you are from another country and you come here, you do actually have the opportunity to become American. But it's more about, do you believe the things that Americans believe, right? Like if you come here and you're just coming here because you want to get some kind of benefit or whatever, or you're just looking for a job, I don't think that person should be allowed to just come in, however. But if you believe in things like, foundational principles that made America, right? Like property rights and the things like that, then I think it's okay for people to come. But they actually have to buy into being an American. It used to be people that came to America stopped speaking their language from their old the old country.
That's what the Italians
stopped doing the traditions that they had in the old country, and they wanted their kids to become American. And if that's the way that a immigrant behaves, I'm fine with it, because again, well, we don't have the kind of history where we can see, we have a racial basis in our country.
No, that's not true. The country was 90% white until 1960.
And we share
Absolutely.
New York City up until, what was it, the post World War II? It was like 95%
but
white.
You'll still
now
get,
it's
you'll still
now
get,
it's 28%.
Hold on,
Say,
you
I
still
need
get
to
the
say,
arguments.
you're
You
just
still get arguments about what a white person is, because Irish and Italians weren't considered white. There's the idea about wasps. Seriously, like you can give me the eyes, but it's true, and that's.
We know what's not white. We know it's not American. Like we can start there and then kind of close in on like defining.
Also,
like, okay,
just
who's
because it's a
specifically-
construct that was normalized because there were so many different European ethnicities in one place doesn't mean that the construct is meaningless. It is meaningful.
But the argument about Europeans, that would mean that Mexicans are just as white as any Americans,
But we
because
know what
they're
a
from
Mexican
Spain.
is. But we know what a Mexican
they're-
is too.
They're intermixed with Spanish blood.
The Spanish are just as white. The European Spanish are just as white as Italians or Southern French.
Okay, correct. Mexicans are not ethnically the same makeup as Spaniards.
They're very similar. What? How
Intermixed.
They're like 40% indigenous.
is it that much with
Yeah.
Mexicans?
Basically
Diesel.
half and half.
But even still, there's there's not a simple way to say
Here
what
they
a
are
white
in
person is.
cartels in the U.S. rolling heads and cutting people's tongues out like Aztecs. Are we surprised by that?
No, those people should get bombs dropped on their head. But like if you're actually going to be like, if you're killing people, the government should wrap you up and throw you in jail. Obviously, that's not.
I'm just saying that's not
question.
a coincidence.
Yeah, well, and also like we have to be realistic with immigration policy in the 21st century, because like I had Nathan Halberstadt on the morning show two or 3 days ago, and he made a really great point, which is the way an immigrant matriculates into American society now in 2025 is vastly different from like 1935. Because in 1935, you get on a boat, there's a good chance that's the last time you're ever going to see where you came from. Versus now, when you come here, you have your phone, you have your internet, you're watching TV in your native tongue from your country, you're talking to your family all the time. Like the digital age makes it very difficult for an immigrant to properly
You notice
assimilate.
immigrants are on the phone all the damn time.
They always have FaceTimes going.
Remember there was
They're on FaceTime
and on
all
speakerphone,
day.
And that's part of the reason they can never properly assimilate. So it's like I would say it's
They don't want to assimilate, and they don't assimilate. And I think it was even in the 70s and 80s, New York City was 60, 70%. I just don't understand how it's dropped so dramatically from 70, 80, 90% white through the 70s, 80s to now it's in the 20s, the mid-20s.
If you look at the
I'm just
demographic,
saying, to divorce American identity from a racial identity
I agree.
is
I agree.
intellectually bizarre.
I agree.
It's
if you looked at the demographics of the Bronx over the last 100 years, you thought we like lost war and got invaded.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
I thought we won the war.
Yeah, what's going on?
We didn't win.
We lost to the Dominican Republic? How?
Yeah.
They can't even
Conquered
beat
us,
Haiti.
moved in,
Yeah.
kicked out the Italians. Yeah.
No, it's 100% true. Like it is like there is to downplay the European contribution to the United States, or really the European foundation of the United States, is just a massive disservice
And that's
to everyone.
why I mentioned earlier that 90% of Trump's voters in 2016 were white voters. The message was very clear. We're white people. We have this candidate who is promising us he will remove these foreigners who do not look like us from the country and build a wall so he can make sure that they don't come back. And that's what they voted for. And they didn't get that in 2016. They didn't get what they were promised, it sounds like, up until now, because they're not getting deported.
Well, I mean, what
Mass
do you mean
deportations are not going to happen. They're not happening, and they're not going to happen.
I don't know. I don't know that they're not going to happen. I don't think that they're going to be deporting just based on race. Like they're not going to round.
Of course, they're not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that what white voters were voting for in 2016, being 9 out of 10 of Trump's base, they were voting for people who are culturally and ethnically dissimilar to them to get removed. and also for them to stay away.
Yeah, the point that I'm making is that isn't gonna, like, that's not happening. Like, that's not going to happen. And I don't think that Donald Trump was ever actually offering that.
But look what
He absolutely
activated
was.
look what activated his campaign in 2024. I mean, going to the energy in the Trump campaign was starting to struggle a little bit going fall into the election or summer into the election around the debates, and then Springfield, Ohio happens. Like, right, there's like an anon on Twitter says there's a video of him
dogs,
eating
they're
a
eating the
cat,
cats.
and that, like, overnight Trump skyrocketed in the polls
Yes.
back to where he was. So it's like
It was great.
Yeah,
And
so
then
it's
they,
like there is this feeling among Americans that it's like our country's starting to look very foreign and very unfamiliar, and that causes a lot of anxiety.
And Mary's point is that is directly associated with the whiteness and the Europeanness of the country,
So,
right?
you know,
The prior
And that's
America.
a very fair point.
Yeah, and it's not, and like what she's saying and what we're saying is not ridiculous at all. Because it's like I would expect someone in Haiti to feel this way, right? I would expect someone in China to feel this
People
way.
in Haiti don't have time to feel like this.
Well, I mean, they
because
got
they're running
earthquakes
away
all
from
the
other
time.
people that are
Maybe
trying to
Haiti, but like in China or Japan or Saudi Arabia, like they have the right to like be like, yeah, I'd like my country to be
stay.
familiar. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Every other country talks like that.
yeah, except Western ones
except for Western countries. So.
and Haiti.
I don't think that I would consider Haiti a Western country.
Yeah, barbecue. He's when you think Socratic method, you think
Barbecue. I mean, the Haiti guy.
Yeah, the Haiti guy. Yeah.
Haiti's about as much of a basket, or about as emblematic of a basket case country as you can come.
Kind of like Maryland.
They
We're
can't even build a bridge, man.
Yeah.
You know?
There's like boats blowing up all the time. Like, what's going on? over there?
and the dogs and cats was the best part of the Trump campaign.
And I remember how low energy it was starting to feel. And I'm the biggest MAGA guy. Like I'm pretty much a shill for the admin. And and I remember going in like it was like, oh no, like this Kamala hot swap's gonna work. And then that happens, and everyone like remembered. They were like, this is what MAGA's about, is making America, taking it and making it great again. And we don't want to see like Haitians eating. If you're from the Midwest, and you're from a small town, you've seen this happen. Like my family comes from, I'm not gonna say which town, but a town in Illinois, and it was swapped. You go there now, and there's no one left, and they were hot swapped for these
No
people
cats.
from like you don't know where they're coming from.
And the cats are gone too.
And the cats are gone. And it wasn't. Never mind.
And the guy barbecue. No.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump to this story from ABC. Trump joins police military in D.C. as he pushes deployment in more cities. President Donald Trump joined police and military in Washington, D.C. on Thursday to oversee the surge in federal law enforcement and National Guard who are responding to what he says is a crime emergency in the district. Trump left the White House in the presidential limousine nicknamed the Beast with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller Thursday afternoon, and were driven to the U.S. Park Police Anacostia Operations Facility in Southeast D.C. They need a copy editor there. There he spoke with law enforcement members and military personnel and touted the deployment. It's great to be with you. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and gals doing an amazing job, he told the crowd, who he said were a healthy, attractive-looking group of people. It was not immediately clear if Trump would actually walk the streets with the police and military personnel. The president mobilized the National Guard 1 week ago to assist the police, claiming crime was out of control. Officials have said Guard personnel are not making arrests, only helping to detain people briefly if necessary before handing them off to law enforcement. Violent crime levels have decreased compared to years prior, down 26% since 2024, a 30-year low according to crime stats released by the city's Metropolitan Police Department. Every single person that I hear talking about this that actually dives a little deeper into these kind of numbers is like, this is all BS. The idea that crime is down is BS. It was just last month, I think someone was fired or put on leave for faking numbers coming out of DC. People don't report crime the way that they used to because crimes are not being no one's getting arrested, and if people do get arrested, they get released again because you got bad DAs and bad people, bad judges. So the idea that they're actually at a 30-year low, people don't buy it. Even if it is lower, people don't believe that it's at a 30-year low. They don't feel that normally. And you see that in the response that people are having to Trump's, use of the National Guard. This is extremely popular with the American people, with particularly the people in DC. You see people putting up TikToks and videos and stuff all the time saying they feel like they can go to the gas station and they're not going to get their stuff stolen. They feel like they can drive around with their window open and no one's going to try and jack their car. So Do you guys think that this is just a stunt, Donald Trump walking out there? Or do you think this is something good where he's actually being on the ground with people that are actually enforcing the law? What's your take on it?
Well, I think we must deputize this man. Donald Trump must be deputized.
Yeah, let him shoot.
That's
let him
number
shoot
one.
one person. Right?
Deputy
Yeah.
Can he shoot? They shot him. Can he shoot one
throw
person?
a knee
One, it would
down.
send a
Public,
message.
he deserves so many people. Their
Right.
life. You know, if you're in jail in and out more than like 15 times, you really aren't any value to society.
Right.
You're a drag on the system. Let him shoot one.
Just one.
criminal
Just
in the act.
one. It's not even that big of a deal.
one.
They don't even notice we're gone. You know, they don't even notice he's gone. Also, even if the people in DC weren't okay with this, like, who cares? Because we're sick and tired of our cities being like total dumps, and the people living there are the reason they're a total dump. So it's like, even if they were like, everyone was in total disarray and they're super angry, it's like, hey, it's our capital. We're gonna do what we want with it, right?
Yeah.
So
And just seeing one of those TikToks of, I watched one of a black woman with her window open. She's just like, finally, I can just,
Yeah.
I'm at a red light. I know I'm not going to get robbed. This is incredible. It's like,
And so what
a life.
Yeah, it's that black woman versus Jasmine Crockett who said this is the most racist thing I've ever seen.
Right.
So it's racist that you're curbing the ability for black people to kill each other and then of any other race of people and just shoot each other in the street. So that's the racist part. So it's Jasmine Crockett versus based black woman in the car on
I'm
TikTok.
almost considering walking around DC at night.
You
Maybe
should.
alone.
you should.
I
Good
might
idea.
do it.
Well, it's
Just
funny
to
that
prove a
they
point.
that like the left, the left's hypocritical. I know it's shocking, but that they made like the most overt racist statement out of anyone in the last week, where we're like, hey, the crime in Baltimore and DC and Memphis is pretty bad, and they're like, that's so racist to point that out, and it's like, these are the blackest cities in America. Like, you made that point, not me.
Some
I'll make that
white
point. But like, whoa.
some white guy who lives in DC made another one of these TikToks about it, and he was on a run at night around DC and talking about his observations. I have no idea if any of it is true because he didn't provide evidence, but he said that when he saw some of the militarized police on a street corner, I saw this black mother walking with her son, and she said to her son, "Hold my hand, sweetie. You don't want them to get any bad ideas. You don't want any trouble with these guys."
The black mother said that to her son.
To her son, who he said was like 12 years old or something. Like they're just about to start like randomly arresting black people for walking on the street, like literally like walking while black, like
Yeah.
they did
That's the modern Rosa Parks of our time. If you know, you
Well,
know.
wait till the Trump drive-by starts. Yeah.
If you know about the Rosa Parks, if you know about that.
I mean, the husband
I don't know how
he had a
true
car.
may have had a car.
What are we
Rosa
doing?
Parks might have had a car. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very wealthy husband.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That to Mary's point. To Mary's point, that notion is what fueled an entire summer of riots in the country. Like when George Floyd was killed, the argument that people were making was, oh, black people are getting gunned down in the streets by police. And even people like LeBron James was saying they're out here hunting us.
Yeah.
This was a total fabrication.
Oh my
I mean, it's true. He said it, and it's a total fabrication, and that's what the justification was for an entire summer of looting, burning cities, destroying property, and people realized, too late, of course, that it was BS, and that's why there's been such a backlash, or that's why so many people have stopped caring about things like Black Lives Matter. Everyone saw what kind of scam that was. The money that the people that were running it stole. They had, all you had to do is say that you were giving your money to Black Lives Matter, or you had some Black Lives Matter affiliated organization, and you could run ads, and people were just scamming the crap out of everybody.
Oh yeah, the money that was going to BLM was going to like non-binary homeless shelters or something. Like it was so insane.
It was all garbage, and it ended up going in just going in people's pockets, like the people that were the leaders.
Colors.
Yeah, Patrice
Yeah.
Colors. She had
Mansions on mansions.
they had mansions and
Yeah.
multiple homes and stuff in LA and stuff, and it's like that kind of idea is still around, and it's something that honestly it needs to be remedied, and you can't just stamp it out of people. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, you can't beat people over the head and be like, you're wrong, this isn't the way. They just dig their heels in. Right. But that attitude is something that comes with all the DEI stuff, with all of the critical race theory stuff, the stuff that Donald Trump is taking out of the Smithsonian, all the stuff that they're taking out of the museums. We talked about this the other day, the whiteness stuff, the idea that white people are evil and after black people and stuff. It's a ridiculous idea, but it's what fuels it fueled Ferguson back in 2013. It fueled the George Floyd riots, and it's a literal cancer in this country. These ideas are a literal cancer that will destroy this country.
The biggest enslavers of black people are black people. So I mean, that's like, so they are on themselves. I actually like what Trump's doing with the museums. I think that's good. 'Cause
absolutely.
I think that it sends a message. And what he's doing in DC, I like what he's doing in DC because it's the only city where you could like instantly do it. You know, New York City's going to hell, but like in these other cities, they try to fight. They try to have elections. You know, Republicans maybe win 1 out of every 10 times in these, blue cities. But in DC, you can kind of just do it.
Yeah.
So he's all right. It's a city. We can do it. So let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's good.
I remember I think it was during 2020 during the riots when they would have these big Instagram posts where they would be like, it was like mostly black celebrities, and they'd be like, I just had to have the talk with my son. And it was like this thing where they would basically just make them paranoid of police, like at a really early age.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like you're saying, it's like, okay, we can blame, what's happening in schools. And that's obviously a big problem that needs to be stopped. But it's like also within the black community, they are like traumatizing themselves by there's like 6 unarmed black men get shot a year. Yeah. And that's what they're on about.
12 or 13 average.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
12 or 13.
Oh, my bad.
In a country of 334 million, 12 or 13 black people are that are unarmed are shot.
Yeah.
And then you have LeBron James with a book that he never read and will not read.
He's perpetually on page
That's kind of
1.
relatable, though. I'm a pretty performative reader as well.
That's
I listen to
relatable.
My Claro, my matcha, and my book that I don't read.
And but him going to the Diddy parties was not relatable. So
Definitely not at all.
definitely not relatable.
Here's what I can't get over about 2020 though. Is just why didn't Trump crack down on it then?
I completely
Why?
agree. He should have.
Agreed. Yeah.
I still hold it against him. I
don't think that Trump was aware, because I don't think
What?
well, okay.
You
Articulate.
don't think Trump was aware that people were rioting in every major city?
Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about something else. That's why I was.
I was wondering why wouldn't he crack down with militarized police or the National Guard then?
Well,
Because he didn't have.
It was
the
a rare
courage.
Trump L. It was a
Yeah.
rare Trump L.
There's just no excuse for it.
The argument-
He maybe thought this is going to make the left look so bad that I'll
that was
win
what
in November.
I was told that's what I've heard that he was told by many people, like, this is just making you look really good. Let it go on.
I think that was part of it.
Not that that's a good answer.
I mean,
but
I guess
that's
they
what
were going to steal it regardless, but still.
That's why he's cracking down now.
Yeah, he's
Because
learned
he
his
got
lesson.
such bad advice. And to be honest with you, like, I don't know who was in his ear, his first presidency, but it was not a situation like Trump was totally unprepared for winning in 2016. And he brought on terrible people. And thankfully, the 4 years that he had, when he was not the president, he learned a lot, and he listened to people, and he talked to people that were not insiders, that actually had a wise view of how things work in Washington, not an inside view that was looking to benefit themselves. And he listened to him, and you see it. You saw it when he was running. You saw the way that he ran up to 2024 to get elected, and you see it now in the way that he's actually executing. Because as much as you don't think that he's doing enough to get people out of the country, he's doing way more than he was doing in 2016.
Also, they said, I think back then they were saying, oh, you don't have the jurisdiction to do this, or you can't send in the National Guard. And I think, like, if Los Angeles is an example of, Trump in 2016 versus 2020 rather, in 2024, I think he just sent in the National Guard into LA unilaterally. Like, he didn't go through the process. Last time he was, I guess, being told that he couldn't do it. I totally thought he should have done what he did in LA and just quelled it immediately, because nobody deserves to live in a city that's getting burned down.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But I guess in LA he learned his lesson. Would you say that he did it better in LA because he just didn't listen? He just said, all right, I'm just sending them in. Don't care. Sue me. I'll send them in
look,
now.
the amount of actual contact that the National Guard had to have with the population in LA was almost none. You didn't see National Guardsmen actually fighting with the crowds. It was the police, and the National Guard were just there making sure that the police could do their jobs. I don't remember seeing any video of dudes in multicam fighting with dudes Hardly ever. There were a handful of times where they had gas masks and they had shields, but it wasn't like they were holding people down. They were just preventing the rioters from attacking the police. They weren't wrapping people up at all.
That would have been
worked
really
great.
That would have been really popular with the base if he did that. I mean, people, the anger during the LA riots, the recent ones, was so palpable. Like you would speak to just your average Trump voter, and they were furious. They're like, no, please, we're so tired of this happening. And then, like, just please crack down on this. And we wanted to see, like, Stephen Miller deployed like Darth Vader, like emerging from the mob of National Guard. Like, that's what we want. That's what the base wants.
That's what the base wants. I understand that, but that's not good optics. And I know that that's not a popular thing to say around this table tonight. But the fact of the matter is, those things do matter, because if you lose public support, you don't have the ability to do anything. Listen, Donald Trump, as long as he's got public support, he can do whatever he wants. And I think that Barack Obama was an example of that. He had public support and he got away with all kinds of stuff.
He got away with not even being born here.
Literally.
But that's to my point. If you have popular support, the president can get away with all kinds of things, but you have to do it in a smart way that keeps the popular support. If you just do things that's unpopular with the American people will turn against you, and then you can't do anything. That's just the truth. I know that there are people that want him to be Darth Vader and come out and do all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I get it, because that's what I would like to see. But that doesn't function in reality. Do you
mean in the way that affects his current term, or the way that affects electability for the next Republican?
The way that it affects the people on the street. You like, if he did something that was really beyond the pale, there would be enough people in the street to make it look like he's done something that the whole of the country doesn't like. And I mean, he would lose support. He's got like 52% approval rating now. If he got down to 35%, like, he wouldn't be able to do anything that he does. He would get protests and people out on the street, and that would also motivate and inspire the left. I mean, that's a problem.
You do have the C's to a certain degree, because the left is completely demoralized right now. They have no leadership. They don't know what's going on. And then also the USAID money's dried up. So like half of their mechanisms they can't even use right now. And so it's like, and I do think Trump is doing a great job of this, but it is like, yes, now is the time to execute. Now is the time to put your foot on the gas, because like you said, this window, I mean, knock on wood, what if we lose the midterms? Yeah. Now we're dead in the water.
And again, this is not me disagreeing with any of the points that you guys have made, or having like some kind of strong disagreement about what should be done. I'm just trying to talk about the reality of the situation and how things have to be, how things have to work in the United States.
I don't like talking about reality.
I know you don't, Mary.
You're ruining the fun. The reality is actually that Democrats are going to almost certainly win a majority in the House in the midterms.
That's why he should do
do
all the
going
redistricting.
To attempt impeachment no matter what he does.
That's why the redistricting battle matters, because if we can pick off 6 to 8 seats, I think that keeps your House majority. Because you are correct. Like, as it stands right now, there is a better than nothing chance that the Democrats retake the House. So that's why we need to get this across.
Not better than nothing. I mean, in my mind, it's like
over 50%.
I'm a little worried about it,
Almost
because to your point, if you look at what's going on right now in the Senate, like, there are Senate's in recess, everybody's in recess for the summer, and they're calling these, like, I don't know what they call them, but there's a name for it, pro forma sessions or whatever, so Trump can't make recess appointments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So he has 160 plus people who have been appointed into very important spots that cannot get into the spots because they're waiting for their Senate confirmation. So Thune, who is the Senate leader, is calling these pro forma sessions.
Unreal.
So Trump cannot make the recess appointment. So if the Congress, that's the Senate and the House, is out for a certain amount of time, the president can appoint them for like 180 days or something. So that'd be great. But they're putting the House in session, the Senate, for a day or for an hour or whatever, so Trump can't do it. Why isn't Trump freaking out about that? And are those the people who are going to be backing Trump when the Democrats take the House and they try to impeach him? Right. Who's backing him up? How are we going to get anything done in the last 2 years? We're basically running until the end of this year, because when the election season starts, all these swing district Republicans are going to be massive pussies because they care about, winning the, R+1 or the D+2 that they hold. So we're not going to get things through. They're going to start talking mushy. It's going to become disjointed. So I think you make a great point, man.
Well, yeah, the House members are already everybody freaking out over the Texas redistricting. Like Kevin Kiley, he's a congressman out of California, Republican.
Well, he's saying that for his own purposes.
Yeah, he's like losing his mind because like the national GOP is trying to make a move and he's just trying to save his own seat. I'm like, we're just not locked in at all as a part. I mean, it's like great that the Trump admin's, you know, firing on all cylinders to a large extent, but like the House GOP is still plagued by the same problems that have plagued us for a very long time, which is people look out for themselves and not the country at large.
That's the problem. I mean, look, that's the problem with representative government. Like they're going to look out for themselves. They're going to look out for their constituencies. The problem, another part of the problem with representative government is there's no reason for us to have federalized all of this crap that we do, all of this stuff that's nationwide and stuff. We are in a different world now than we were 250 years ago. But like the idea of having the same laws in Massachusetts and Florida and California is just ridiculous if you go by what the founder said. So I don't know that there's a solution, but we were talking about Donald Trump, and we're going to jump to this story real quick. From post millennial, DC goes a full week without a homicide after Trump crime crackdown. Now, I don't know when the last time they went a whole week without a homicide, but I think that's good.
Bar is low.
It says March.
For the first time in months, Washington, D.C. has gone 7 consecutive days without a homicide following President Donald Trump's federal takeover of the city's police force and deployment of the National Guard. The rare streak, confirmed Wednesday, comes during the summer season when homicide levels are typically at their highest. The last time the capital reported 0 killings for a full week was in March. Other crimes have also dropped sharply, according to the figures cited by the local police union. Robbery declined by 46% in the week after the federal control began. Carjackings fell 83%. And overall violent crime was down 22%. The crime freeze began the day after a fatal shooting in Logan Circle, which occurred just hours after Trump announced the move. At the time, Representative Eric Swalwell said on social media that Trump owns this. Critics have since noted that the statement could apply to the decline as well. Of course it could. Law enforcement saturation in high crime areas has drawn comparisons to tactics used in New York City in the 1990s under then Mayor Rudy Giuliani, when murders fell by more than half in his first term. Observers pointed out that the deployment of the National Guard outside D.C.'s Union Station, long a hotspot for homelessness and drug activity, as an example of the new approach. I think that this is something that is just overall positive. I don't think there's a downside. You know, I don't think that there's anybody that can say, oh, here's the bad thing. I want the Democrats to keep complaining about it because it just reinforces the fact that they're totally unserious and actually have no policies to talk about other than Trump bad. But that's the same thing that they've been talking about for ages. There's only so many times that the American people can hear he's a threat to our democracy and actually think that it means something. They've definitely lost the swing voters. Trump's approval rating last I saw again was like 52 or something like that, which is sky high for Donald Trump and conservatives, especially in such a polarized time.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an example of you can just do things, right? I mean, it's very obvious they've taken a page out of El Salvador here. I mean, El Salvador, it was just like a total disaster zone. And Bukele's just like, oh, you can just like end this. Like crime is optional. In 2025,
yes. It is a policy choice. Yes.
It is optional. The left loves crime because they love filth and they hate their fathers and they hate America. They hate themselves. They hate beauty. And what is more beautiful than like Union Station, right? Union Station is a very beautiful place, very dignified to take a train into Union Station until you see homeless people pooping everywhere. I mean, it looks like India. It's a total disaster. So it's like, no, this is beautiful. This is beautiful to have a clean, nice train station. The left hates this. The left hates all of this. So yeah, you can just do things.
Violent criminals only understand the language of violence. And people, especially on the left, but more generally, have misgivings about criminality and what makes criminals criminals. They need to understand that violent criminals are ontologically criminals.
Yeah.
And they will be criminals for the rest of their lives. That's who they are. That's what they are. They cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be social worked into being functional human beings in society. That's just what they are. They are ontologically criminal, and they will never change. So they have to be dealt with fear and with violence because it's the only thing they understand. It's the only thing they respond to.
We had Zeke Arkerman here a couple days ago, and he's a former law enforcement. I think he's actually retiring. And one of the things that I said to him was like, look, tell me if I'm wrong. the actual bad actors in your area. If you're a police officer and you're patrolling the same area, they know exactly who the bad guys
I
are.
arrested them 20 times.
Yeah, exactly.
The reoffense rate for violent criminals is 2 out of 3.
Yeah, it's so the way to deal with violent crime is arrest those people and put them in jail. If you do that, you can actually get crime, even in poor places, because poverty does not drive crime, but crime does drive poverty. This is a point that Sean, what's his name? Actual Justice Warrior on YouTube. Shout out to Sean. What?
Sean Fitzgerald?
Yeah, Fitzgerald, that's it. He makes this point all the time. If you have an area that is high crime, that will drive businesses out, that will drive investment out, that will drive all of the good things about a society out of the area. But if you go in and you take care of the crime, there is money to be made in providing low-cost housing to people that don't have a lot of money. There is money to be made in putting in, bodegas or shops for people that don't have a lot of money to go somewhere and buy the things that they need. But if you have a high crime area, no one wants to invest because they're going to lose their money. They're going to lose their investment. Poverty does not drive crime, but crime does drive poverty. There are poor places all over the world that have lower crime rates than places like DC, and they're poor, but they're not criminal because they're not inherently criminal people. And it doesn't take very much to actually wrap up the criminals and throw them in jail.
Well, when you're dealing with a place like DC, someone's rights are going to get violated. It's either the criminals or it's the innocent people just trying to go for a walk and not get, knocked over the head. So it's like if someone's rights are going to get violated, it should be the criminals. Like, sorry, it's unreal that we have to deal with this in the United States.
In every city.
In every city where places like Baltimore and St. Louis and Memphis have crime rates equivalent, if not worse. I was actually looking at the stats. Our violent crime rate in Baltimore is worse than Johannesburg, South Africa. How is this?
What?
How is this tolerable? It's absolutely ridiculous.
In the people in New York City, New York City, nobody takes the subway, for example, especially after a certain time because they're worried about rising instances of people getting pushed on the tracks. So then they say, okay, I can't do the subway. They take the bus. Do they drive and pay this congestion fee thing? So they're stuck without a choice. And I say, you're accepting the fact that the criminals are running the system. Like, you can't take the subway because you're worried about crime. You can't walk these blocks because you're worried about the crime. And they just keep voting for it. And the criminals are the ones running the system. And now people say, hey, do I either pay the money because New York City passed a congestion tax. So if you come into the city, you now pay $9 a day. So these people pay either $9 a day or they could take the public transit. And if they take the public transit, they got to run the risk of getting violently assaulted or anything like that, particularly at nighttime. And it's only going to get worse.
Who is that maniac that Daniel Penny...
Neely. His name is Jordan Neely.
Jordan Neely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan Neely
that
deserved
case
it.
Specifically showed me how hilarious it is that people ascribe this deep textured interior life to the criminal.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have one.
He was a Michael Jackson impersonator.
He only acts.
Yeah.
Like, the criminal only acts. He does not think. He doesn't premeditate. He just does.
And the criminal would absolutely obliterate any of the white liberals defending him on television or the black liberals defending
He had
him.
mental health struggles, and I don't know, what is he thinking when he threatens to murder everyone on the train? Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't have a good relationship with my father. Like, what do they ascribe to this man's interior life that they think this can be explained away with childhood trauma or something?
Yeah. Like, what do they think he was missing in life? Like, how he ended up like this? Like, what he got rejected for a job or something? And
He's
then
heartbroken.
Maybe he's a sensitive young man that could.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard this guy in New York City that was on the subway, and another guy was heckling this woman, and the guy stepped in to stop it, and the guy who was heckling the woman slashed this guy with a box cutter on his face, slashed his face up. Fast forward a month or two later, they go to court, and when he goes to court, the woman who he helped was actually siding with the criminal who slashed his face. I mean, that's New York for you, guys.
Yeah.
That's New York.
Yeah, it makes it, you have no incentive, and they want it like that. No incentive. You go, listen, these people are all fucked up. They're liberal. If somebody's getting harassed, I'm just going to mind my own business. It's not me, and I'll just let it happen. And that's you're taking away the culture, the New York culture, the humanism, the humanic nature of it. You have no type of community or semblance of, we're all in this together. And that is destroying what it is to be an American, right? You're not American at that point. You're just like a vessel in this like Gotham City type of deal, trying to survive, trying not get hit by
every
a
man for
Indian
himself.
trucker,
Right.
trying to not get slashed on the subway. Every man for themselves. And there's no sense of community. Nobody speaks the same language. Nobody looks the same. Nobody acts the same. And
And these ungrateful bitches are going to testify against you if
real.
you try to be a hero. I was hoping you were going to say, fast forward 2 months later, they go on a date, hit it off.
That'd be kind of nice.
Nope,
now
she
they
was
have
a
a baby.
liberal.
Like, yeah.
So, what mode of transport is safe in America? You can't take the train because of the schizophrenic crackheads. You can't drive because you'll get smacked into by an Indian, semi truck. You can't fly because you'll get hit by like a Black Hawk.
Can't
pilot.
Uber because you can't afford it.
You can't Uber
you
because
can't ride the bus because not good smells.
you'll
from
get
the
kicked out of
people
your
who ride
seat
the bus.
too.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, so it's like, and the smell.
Yeah, it's very bad.
People just sleep on the bus.
You can't bike because bikes, that's just gay. You can't do that.
No.
So it's like, what are we supposed to do as Americans? Our rights are being violated in every
Well, that's when you know
direction.
things are going wrong. There's a lot of bicycles. There's a lot of scooters coming back.
It's true.
Best-
People are willing to endure the heckling.
I mean, the sidewalk's one thing, but I'm like, this is your
Oh, I saw someone rocking Heelys the other day. I mean, if that doesn't tell you how bad crime's getting,
not
I don't
rough.
know what
Yeah,
will.
things are
I don't know what will.
We're almost at the end times.
We're swirling the drain. Yeah. Heelys, really? That's a recession indicator if I've ever seen one.
Your car is always the best option. Just,
My car specific?
no, not your car. Your own personal vehicle is always
You
the
don't
best
want to
option.
park it anywhere.
Pardon me?
You don't want to park it anywhere in the city, though.
You get
I don't want to go to the
Cinder
city.
blocks.
Get put on cinder blocks.
But that's the thing. We cannot resign ourselves to the idea, like, just don't go to cities, don't live in cities, don't
Right.
engage with
Yeah.
cities. We cannot
Why do we
give
see
it up.
it? And by the way, the nicest areas in this country, like the nicest areas, the best objective real estate. I'm not talking about what they do to it, but the best real estate. There's none of our, like, nobody speaks English in those places.
Yeah.
It's none of our people. It's none of the people who live
people
there.
speak English in Calabasas.
Well, I'm talking about on the East Coast of New York because I live on the waterfront between New
Greenwich,
York and New
Connecticut is
Jersey.
nice.
And well, in New York City, in the best areas of New York City, nobody in the parks, nobody in the places speak English. They're all Muslims, or they're all Indians, or they're all Koreans. And where I live specifically, it's the stretch of the water overlooking Manhattan, and I look at it and I walk around and nobody is
Oh,
talking
yeah.
or speaking the language.
Yeah, people are like,
But I understand in places like California that might not be.
well, it's like New York, and people are like, how could someone like Zoran get in? I'm like, you don't know. Have you ever been to New York City? Like walk around? I mean, like it's like a bazaar there. I mean, it's crazy.
Me and my wife go to Montauk every year, and every year, I'm telling you, it gets worse and worse. With like, when you go to a restaurant, you look around and like there's like Russian people speaking Russian,
Oh,
people
yeah.
speaking Japanese. Every year it gets less and less American, and it's
Yeah.
like people can't afford it out here.
That's part of that's
We're becoming like the Tijuana of like
Every
we're all
mall-
going to be serving the visitor.
Yeah, every mall, literally every mall in Northern Virginia is like a Model UN now. I mean, it's like a total disaster, and it's not even. I'm not even concerned about delinquency. It's like these people could all make more money than me. That's perfectly fine. It's that it's not American. I'm an American. I want my children to grow up in a country that looks like America, and it's devastating that my inheritance is being robbed right before my very eyes.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of young people that feel the way you do. There's
That's why we're all like radical schizos. Yeah. I'm normal. I'm like a moderate, but just a sensible conservative.
well, yeah, a sensible conservative.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But I mean, I do think that actual perspective that you're articulating, I think that's something that is it's extremely popular nowadays, and I think that's part of why Donald Trump has been so successful. Like he was, what is it? Like he had what was his numbers with Gen Z?
It was like almost half, which is
Yeah.
remarkable.
Incredible for
And then they, I mean, we talked about it on the show. Is like there was this poll that came out where Gen Z soured on Trump seemingly overnight, and Tim made the point, and it's true. Is like that's not them thinking, oh, Trump's too conservative or whatever.
Yeah.
That's them outflanking him to the right, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's not deporting enough people.
Yeah.
Like people do not realize how angry Zoomers are about what's
Yeah.
been done to their country.
The argument that Donald Trump was the moderate option is a very true statement. Donald Trump is a Democrat from the 90s. Genuinely. He's not a far right guy. As much as the left wants to cast him as such, he is not particularly far right. None of his policy prescriptions are in any way far right at all.
Yep.
And the American people don't understand what's coming when it comes to when Gen Z is not just, is really politically active. Now, granted, there's not a lot of Gen Z.
Oh yeah.
Like compared
They
to
aborted a quarter of us.
well,
It was estimated
Seriously?
28% of Gen Z was aborted.
yeah.
That is almost
That
a
is
billion people.
Crazy.
It's about 900 million babies that were Gen Z that were aborted.
Yeah. And
Trump admin is an olive branch.
when you hear, yeah, exactly. When you hear stuff like that, though, I think that actually will harden at least some people. And maybe this is just because I got a baby on the way, but like the idea of outlawing abortion seems obvious to me. And the idea of possibly outlawing the pill is like, well, maybe that's what the human race needs, because the fact that the birth rates are down in the United States, it's not just in the U.S. It's globally, except for like Africa.
Yeah,
I think.
it's like Mali's still above, keeping their head above water. But it's like all these theories that people had about like birth rates. They're like, oh, like it's when people go from subsistence farming to like industrialization, the birth rate drops. And then like 2 years ago, India goes sub replacement. So it's like all that theory, all this
All out
social
the
science
window.
went out the window, and everyone's like, oh, it's feminism. Oh.
Yeah.
It's actually very simple. It's like the pill, and it's like people comparing themselves to other people. It's actually very simple. And we can fix this by just being kind of mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all the social science went out the window. Literally, I remember like studying this, like, there's all this complex economic theory and everything. It's
Not
like,
a bit
it's
of it
just
was
birth
true.
control, and like, and people get on TikTok and see hot people and like, oh, I'm not gonna settle for anyone except that. That's all that's going on. That's the only way you can explain India going sub replacement.
Can never live in a pre-birth control world again. Like the technology has been unleashed.
Yeah, that's
The asymmetry between men and women has been flattened. We don't know what to do now.
Well, now there's new birth controls. Like I think it's called Meta, right? And your girlfriend's going to be in the cloud, and that's birth control. So
They have Funko Pops now, that's
unavoidable.
birth control. So, I mean, it's getting out of control. I agree
Dungeons
with her.
and
I think
Dragons
the
is
only
birth
way out of
control.
this mess, and I hate to sound like a soapbox person, but it's like religiosity, specifically Christianity. That's the only way out of this mess. Seriously.
I don't know that not that I think that won't help, but I don't know that that's going to be a thing for enough people. And I was talking about this, I think it was last night, like a lot of the questions that were answered by religion are no longer questions. Right? For a long time, for the vast majority of human history, all of the questions that God answered have been answered.
But what
And
about
so
That's an irreligious point of view.
hold on, let me finish my point, because right now people need religion, right? Religion is more like a language than anything else. Religion is ubiquitous throughout human history. So whether it doesn't matter where the people are or how far apart in time they are, every single civilization has had some kind of religion. And the seculars of today have replaced God with basically themselves. Right, that's why there's the trans stuff is really self-worship. Because the idea that you can be anything you want, that's like godlike. The idea that you can create a perfected world, that's a godlike. So really, what's happened is the religions that we remember, or the religions that came before, have been replaced in Western countries with this secular religion. And it doesn't have to have a Christ-like figure, even though the Christ-like figures are what people think of when they think of religion, or they think of a God like the Christian God or whatever, or the Catholic God or the Muslim God. That's not necessary for religion. That is one type of religion, but there's all kinds of other religions that have existed in human history. And man today in the West has replaced the traditional religions with this kind of secular religion. And so whether or not you can whether or not people will believe in the older religions isn't whether or not they will believe in religion.
Well, I don't know if it's a question of whether or not Gen Z is going to show any interest in traditional religion. It's already happening.
Yeah.
I just reminded myself of this stat. Okay, there was a 6% increase in Gen Z identifying as Catholic specifically between 2022 and 2023. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. And also,
but it's Gen Z who are the smallest of generations.
the number of church-going young people is increasingly male. That's never been the case before historically. So now the majority of church-going Gen Zers are male.
Well, it's
That's historically
Because men are
such
the
an
most
anomaly.
lost in this modern world.
Well, it's because, like you said, okay, a lot of these questions are being answered, like, okay, where does the sun go, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, that's whatever. Like, okay, the scientific, we can, that'll be Dawkins and John Lennox can debate that. We'll leave that. That's like the highbrow stuff. It's the basic question that drives every human being when they go to sleep at night is, who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going to go when I die? And science will never, ever, ever, ever answer that question, ever, and God will. And it,
Well, I mean,
it's been answered.
I agree that those questions are basic and that they're fundamental to the human experience, right? I just don't know that people are going to go to God in enough numbers where it would actually change the crashing birth rates.
Well,
I mean,
that's my point.
The other place they're going, they're retreating to basically witchcraft.
Well, fair. Yeah, I mean,
Witchcraft is gaining popularity specifically with women, but also overall, like it's been commercialized into a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Charge your crystals.
You can't escape it. It's everywhere.
Labubus.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, what's up with the Labubus?
that's part of my point, right? Like, it just because there has been an increase in traditional religion doesn't mean that it's actually going to be the thing that's fixing our population going off the cliff. You know what I mean?
I mean, like restoring the West to the pre-modern state of things is going to take more than a generation. But I'm much more optimistic about the children that Zoomers will raise, actually, than I am of the generation that Boomers and Gen X raise. No offense, because I mean I love Gen Xers, but it's just true. Is the fact that Zoomers have effectively figured all this out on their own is a very strong indicator for what the next generation that Zoomers are going to birth are going to.
Institutions like the church and marriage just have a way of reasserting themselves.
Well, that way is because if everyone in the one side is saying, oh, I'm going to abort all my children and I'm not going to have any kids and I don't think this is the way forward and I can't bring kids in the world, then the people that are having children are going to inherit the earth. Absolutely. No matter what you do, it's going to end up that way.
And the children that we have as right wingers will be much more well-rounded. They're just going to want it more than the kids that whatever kids the left wingers manage not to abort.
Be selecting their, gender, or if they identify as a cat. In these schools, they have the litter boxes for the children who identify
and there's
as
traits
cats.
like neuroticism that are just like passed along. So it's like the left is like giving them like a basket case. They're all going to have like, all these different, problems. They'll be collecting labus. And the right wingers are just going to be like, it's going to be fantastic.
Making money, doing, real things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go to Super Chat. So would you smash that like button, share the show with your friends, head on over to rumble.com so you can join us for the after show, which comes up in about 20 minutes. We can say whatever we want. There's no YouTube limits or YouTube censorship. And then after that, you want to head on over to timcast.com and join the Discord so that way you can call into the after show. You can talk to the panel. You can ask our guest questions. You can find like-minded people. You can maybe start your own podcast. There's like 4 different podcasts that have started in the Discord. You can maybe meet a girlfriend, maybe have kids, maybe get married, all those good things, that wholesome stuff that you can find in community. And that's what we want to see. We want to see people joining the Discord and engaging in a community of like-minded people. But right now, we're going to go to Super Chats. Hector Garcia says, how much longer are you planning on wearing the Phil skin suit, Tim? I mean, I think it's clear that I'm not Tim. Tim's been doing this a long time. He's much better at driving the ship than I am. So I think it's pretty clear that Tim is not me and I'm not Tim. When Tim comes back, I'll be right over there. Let's see. Jake says false accusations should hold the same punishment as what you were accusing someone of. I'm not sure the context in this, but I don't have a problem with that.
That was when we were talking about Schiff and, should Schiff face the death penalty for accusing Trump of treason, which the penalty is death. So one would say in a civilized society, the answer would be yes.
Well, I mean, I think that he should face whatever the extent of the law will allow. So whatever the most.
I'll take Hammurabi's code.
Okay, there we go. T-Bomb85 says, stop giving CDLs to people from countries where they drive like a game of chicken. They don't think twice to run you off the road out here in the Southwest. I mean, look, that's kind of the point that Mary was making, right? Like if you have people that disregard the rules of your country, they're certainly not going to take into account the rules of the road. And I think that it is a good thing to prevent those kind of people from coming here. If they are here, round them up and send them back home to some place that is more accommodating of their lifestyle and culture. Let's see. Shada Jamo says, I knew a trucker guy say an Indian guy got out of his truck and just took a crap right there in front of his truck.
It's culturally
Appropriate.
That's like that could have been Bourbon Street, though. Who knows? I mean,
It could have been multiple places.
yeah.
Let's see. Raymond G. Stanley says, I worked in the industrial world for 15 or so years. There are definitely white truckers. Talk to our viewers, too. That's a crazy statement. I'm not sure which one is crazy. But, you know, I
They
mean,
are having their jobs replaced.
yeah.
That's
I mean, that is true. But I still think that in the long run, like most jobs are going to be replaced with automation and with robots. But I know that that's unpopular around here. But I think that that's the future that we've already that is already basically here. It's just a matter. I'm not sure about a technocracy. I'm not sure that it's a technocracy. But I do think that the automation is not going to be just something that's delegated to factories in the future. I think that it's going to be, it's going to be ubiquitous. I think that Musk is probably right. There will be, in 10 years, there'll be hundreds of thousands of humanoid robots walking around among us. And I think that most people are going to be pretty okay with it fairly quickly. There will be people that will not. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that I'm going to catch a lot of hell from the chat just for saying that. But that's my sense.
I want to trip them.
Oh, you're more than welcome to trip them.
Guy who's going to sell them to us is saying we're going to have them all. I mean,
Well, I mean, look,
he's going to sell it to people. He wants that to be the case.
Again, I mean, you can be skeptical if you want, but I do think that. What? Go ahead.
Oh, no. Did you ever see Peter Thiel? Do you think humanity will persist? Very simple question. Yeah, of course. I want the human race to persist. He goes, I don't know about that. What? What, buddy? What are you saying? What? That's a very scary, they call it mask off moment.
Yeah,
I want the human race to persist. What do you want then?
I had just gotten back from like Costco, though. We all have that feeling after Costco. You're like, I don't know.
It's like Black Friday. He was at a Walmart and he's like,
Buddy, what is-
man,
Yeah,
I'm over
these
it.
things,
I'm over
there
it."
could be some context missing, right? Maybe he got back. Yeah, maybe he went to like Home Depot.
Peter Thiel goes to Home Depot.
Yeah.
Could be,
Lots of homosexual men go to Home Depot.
They go to Lowe's, actually. Yeah, the light and loafers. They're more Lowe's people.
John
Lowe's
Burt.
person is a slur too.
John Burt is a member for 60 months. We appreciate the heck out of you. He says, 5 years. A big shout out to all the awesome people I've been lucky enough to know. Thank you to the Timcast team and especially Tim. Learned so much. That is great to hear. Thank you for being a member and sticking with us. Cheers, man. We appreciate the hell out of you guys. Let's see. The Deuteronomist said, my dad was a trucker and I got my CDL. The issue was trucking used to be a trade that people were appreciated for. Or, I'm sorry. Used to be a trade that people apprenticed for. The bar has been lowered by easy schooling, basically DEI to open the trade to everyone. I mean, look, that's the way that kind of it goes. But really, I understand that, trucking at some point was similar to a trade, but it is trucking is something that most people can do. Most people can drive, particularly if you can speak the language of the country that you're in. You can learn the rules of the road, and most people can at least. So the idea that it's specialized, I mean, part of the reason why they're stuffing, people that are newly arrived foreigners and illegal immigrants into these jobs is because it is something that they can generally do if they're if they can read English. I think the failure point is that we're allowing people that aren't familiar with the country and can't read the language and can't speak the language. We're allowing them to drive, and that's where the breaking point is.
Never driven an 18-wheeler, but I imagine it's a little more difficult than driving a than driving like a truck, right? Tiny, like, so there is it's even scarier to think that, obviously people can learn these things, but the fact that like they got to learn it and they can't speak English and they're very low IQ people, smaller brains.
I think the blind spot for an 18-wheeler is like 180 feet or something that you can't. I think it might be higher.
I don't know about 180 feet, but I mean, look,
100 plus.
It's definitely harder than driving.
Probably wrong on that.
It's definitely harder than driving like you're a Toyota. But I mean, your average person that gets an RV, those can be really big things. They're the size of buses, size of like 45-foot. They're called XL2s is what they use in the music industry nowadays, or XLs, 45-foot long, and they are more difficult to drive than a regular vehicle, but it's not something that's super complex,
And it could be up to 200 feet, the blind spot for an 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
So, crazy.
All right, let's see. Dad Squatch, it looks like. Phil, your argument for having automated trucks safer than having illegal immigrants on the road is exactly what the liberal tech bros want. White American trucker. I don't know what your point is. That is what they want, but it is also like there is going to come a time when vehicles will be driven more safely by robots than by humans. That will happen. And I mean, I'm sorry to be, you can be mad at me about it, but it's true. So it's perfectly fine if you want to be angry with me, though. It's fine. Shane H. Wilder says, with deportations, some leftists are calling to bring back the Bracero program that ended in 1964 because it made workers essentially slave laborers and required them to be sprayed with DDT before working. Well, that sounds terrible. I don't know anything about this. But yeah, thanks, Shane. Evan for us says, if y'all want to see some shocking data on the dating, marriage, homeowners realm, look up the statistics on the number of Gen Z that are married and or have children. We are in deep S if we don't fix it. I'm not sure that there is a fix coming. Gen Z has to have 4 kids each for replacement, right? Like boomers and Gen X were at the 2.1. There were so few millennials and even fewer still Gen Z. They have to have 4. So I don't know if that fix is coming or not. A lot of people, that's another thing that people like. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, the idea of so much automation, that's terrible, that's terrible, that's terrible. It might be necessary, like just to have a society that functions, because you've got fewer people that fill the jobs that are necessary to keep society working, and you're gonna need somehow to get the garbage taken out. You're going to need somehow to get things built. You're going to need somehow to get a lot of things done that people do, but there's just not enough Gen Z to do it.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. We'll go like about 2 weeks ago on the Culture War channel, my interview with Nate Fisher. That's a really good case, the right-wing case for automation. It's just very pragmatic, especially dealing with population decline. And he does a good job explaining how AI could actually be a good solution for increasing the birth rate, just because women particularly work these like pointless email jobs oftentimes. And if you can automate those out, increase male wages through increasing their productivity, then we could actually see the total fertility rate increase as women are freed up to raise children.
And you might see a lot of the depression, a considerable amount of the depression that you see in women go away, because honestly, I think that most women have been fooled into thinking that they want to be boss bitches and be career women, and they actually don't. And if they had kids, they would be like, holy cow, this is the best. And you hear that a lot. Women that go to work, they start a career, they work for a little while, then they get married and they have a kid and they take time off and they're like, I don't want to leave my kid. I love my kid. I love hanging out with my kid. Why do I want to go back to work? And some of them don't have the opportunity. They don't have the ability to stay home. But a lot of women, if you say, hey, would you rather stay home or would you rather go back to work? And they're like, I'm staying home with my kid. They rule. This is the best thing ever. So
Yeah. It'll fix.
That was the problem with the show Friends, Great show. If you're a fan, I get it. But it got this whole entire generation of like, I have to be a girl boss. I have to, and like we need that opposite push. We need some viral, movement, because it's just insanity what it's become. It's Friends.
Cat 318. Sorry. Cat318 says, Kathy Hochul said at a press conference that what happened to President Trump wouldn't happen to any other business after President Trump lost that case. Tish James just needs to go after real criminals. Well, yeah, but they say that, but the precedent's already been set, right? They say that it won't happen until, the next president that gets in that's on the right. Because remember, they were saying that Donald Trump is the worst thing that could ever happen. He's worse than Hitler, literally verbatim. He's worse than Hitler. And then as soon as you start talking about J.D. Vance, you see think pieces coming out. Donald Trump was bad, but whoa boy, J.D. Vance is worse. There were people that were starting to make that very argument about Ron DeSantis. When DeSantis was running against Donald Trump, before DeSantis dropped out, before everyone saw the lifts in his boots, and they were like, look, DeSantis might actually be worse than Trump because he's competent and Donald Trump was a buffoon and blah, blah, blah. They were starting to make that argument. That is the argument that the left will make forever because they don't have any principle at all. They only use words as a means to strike fear in people. They're totally postmodern now. They don't have to have, their words don't have to have any attachment to reality. That's why they call Donald Trump Hitler, even though he's nothing like Hitler. Like his policies are not like any kind of socialism or national socialism, nothing like that at all. But they draw any connection to Hitler they can because they don't have the ability to make reasoned arguments. They only have the ability to say that he is the worst thing ever because they believe that words don't have meaning. Words are just access to power. It's all postmodern garbage. But anyhow. Let's see, what do we got here? Mosif Stalin 69 says, Mary absolutely cracks me up. You got a fan, Mary.
Thanks.
And he has a lot of fans.
He didn't say
Am I funny in a laughing at or laughing with?
Laughing with.
I don't know.
Laughing with kind of way. So, what do we got? St. Miles says, Mary, the oracle of Timcast IRL has spoken.
This me?
No, the other Mary. Yes, you.
Oh, I'm flattered.
They call you the Oracle, so you get a lot of love. Let's see. Dave Flores says, Kellen, imagine a bunch of S-bag New Yorkers talking S about Maryland. Completely homo.
Way to go, Mike.
Sorry about it. Listen, New York is quickly becoming more of a failed society, and obviously Mondominy and all that, but we will always be better than Maryland in every single way, in every single form.
double
I'm
down.
sorry.
That was Kellen that said
You're
that?
from Maryland.
Oh, okay.
From New York. It's not even
Why do
comparable.
you hate Maryland?
I don't know. I made one comment.
Gotta go with it now.
I made one comment about Maryland, and I'm the type that digs my heels in.
Yeah.
So fuck Maryland.
Yeah, we need an enemy here.
Yeah, we're done.
We need to unite around something.
Yeah.
We need a
from
fall
Maryland,
guy.
So.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
S.A. Federale says, S.A. Federale says, I feel like
Good to
Mary,
move on from that. Yeah.
Mary consistently is proven right that nothing ever happens, and the argument that she's gullible is something seems to be happening. Then it goes away, and nothing actually happens that needs to. So she's right. No one's ever said that she's gullible. I don't think anyone's ever said that about Mary around here.
I think he's saying the people who think that something is happening are gullible. They're like, look, something's happening, and then it doesn't happen.
Anything? Well, okay. So
Frantically searching
Look, there
for
was-
evidence of something happening.
there was a poll that Serge put up. Does anything ever happen? And there was 57% said yeah all the time. So
I may have worded that. I'm sure I worded that a little bit poorly. I could have worded that a lot better, but it's pretty split. It's like 50% the whole show.
Oh, I'm gonna take a little jab at this one. Red Pilled again says, I cannot wait for AI to replace podcast talking head just like truck drivers. I know that that's a shot at me, but listen, listen.
Good. That's kind of a funny one, though.
Yeah, you think it's funny, but you're not winning anything because my job was replaced by Spotify 15 years ago. Okay, I sell records. People stopped buying records 15 years ago. So if you think that you're funny, like I'm already neck deep in it, man.
He's been replaced once.
already
he
neck
made
deep
a
in it.
comeback.
Yeah,
he will figure out how to do it again.
Don't think that like, oh, you're so mean for talking about this. F you. Like this has already happened to me. If it were the 90s, never mind. Anyways, people used to buy records. They stopped buying records. Now they buy Spotify for $10 a month and get all the music in the world for free. So don't give me that, oh, it's so bad that it's happening to me now.
Yep. AI cannot screw up an ad read like I can. Right? It's too good. It's too perfect.
Let's see. Maverick Cuba says, why should American businesses, landowners be punished for not proper vetting? Do you see how the property business seizures will be used to punish Americans for not legally vetting other Americans for work/rent under the table? Look,
Liberal.
Heading for citizenship?
Yeah, look at
that a
them.
big
Oh,
deal?
you're not a. Oh, are you a citizen? Are you an Indian?
Is that hard to figure out?
I mean, I get what you're saying. Look, I get what you're saying. If you're coming from the position of, look, the government can't be trusted, I get it and I agree, right? But the idea that the government can't be trusted so we can never do anything only lets the left rule the country. That's all there is to it. It allows the left to do whatever they want, and then the Republicans, and that's part of the problem with Republicans now.
So-
it's not, we can't do this. That's unprincipled. This isn't the role of the federal government, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have to exercise power when you have it.
We got to go a little authoritarian to fix these problems. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I agree, but the argument that the government doesn't have that authority, they do it all the time. They use civil asset forfeiture to take your cash if you're going to buy a car in cash. What's that cash for? Well, it's mine now, and the police just take it, and you have no recourse. Like, the government does this stuff all the time to benefit itself. It's time for the government to use the powers that it has taken for itself to benefit the American people.
Yeah, well, it's like, oh, you don't trust the government? Oh, well, everyone that hates you does. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah, they do, and they're going to use it to do terrible things to you and the things that you love.
Real.
So I get it. I understand your argument, but I abandoned that argument a long time ago when I stopped being a libertarian because it doesn't work in the real world. That's all there is to it. If you don't use the power of government when your party has it, if you don't have representatives that will use that power, you are just saying, let the left use the power, let the left beat up on me, let the left destroy my country, let the left do all the things they want to do, and I'm too principled to do it. Well, I tell you what, I'm not too principled to tell the government to use its power on my behalf for my benefit.
Mic drop.
Not a Bot says, when my dad's family came to America from Mexico, my grandpa told me not to teach his children to speak Spanish because we were all American now. He was a Marachi, and he was so proud to earn his family citizenship. And that's great. That is exactly how immigrants to America should behave. They should stop speaking the language from their old country. They should become American.
Throw away the Selena Gomez Oreos. Eat normal Oreos.
I remember a moment when I was in middle school, whatever, when I started Italian, like foreign language, and I'm like, I don't know anything. I go to my parents. I'm like, why didn't you teach me Italian? They're like, I don't know Italian. We came to this country. My parents said, you learn English, and that's it, because we're here now. And it's like, that is so gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see why people don't make the connection of, if you're in the country, you should be speaking English. But we're going to wrap it up from here. So actually, do you want to go ahead and shout anything out?
It's been great to be on the show tonight. Appreciate it. Very based conversation. Long live America, hopefully. And you guys can follow me on X at Mike Crispi. Follow me on X. Everything is there.
Mary?
Oh, I was waiting for you.
You want to shout anything out?
Producer Frankie on X.
Oh, there we
Brand
go.
new X account.
There we go. Just started it?
He's brand new.
Okay.
All right. You guys can go subscribe to Pop Culture Crisis. We go live every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived. You can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
You can follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. I don't know. I don't think I'll have any morning shows next week. I think Tim's gonna be back, hopefully. But if not, you'll see me Monday. Come hang out.
Tomorrow.
There's no morning show tomorrow.
We're doing the Culture War tomorrow.
You're doing the culture war.
You're not going to be here?
I'll be here. I'll be behind the desk.
You're going to be on
All the
camera.
work.
You know it.
Maybe. I don't know.
Come on. Everyone loves you.
Tomorrow's gonna be a monster culture war. Please watch it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, Deezer, and YouTube. I will be here tomorrow morning for the Culture War at 11, right? And Tate will be on. Don't let him steer you wrong. He's going to be on. We're going to have a great conversation. It will actually be about AI, if I understand correctly. So join us tomorrow. And then we will be here tomorrow night for IRL. There will be no after show, but tonight, in just a few minutes, we're going to start the Rumble after show. So go to Rumble, become a member so you can watch the after show, and we'll see you guys soon.